Kick it! That was me. I just did like a whole Beastie Boys opening, sort of. Welcome to the High Noon Rant. I am Pugs Moran. I do this every Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. I've been doing it every day for 3 years now. It's a current events, stream of consciousness rant. That's what it is. You tune it. It's like talk radio. It's not like talk radio because it's a stream of consciousness, which means there's no breaks, no commercials, no nothing. I just start talking like I did a couple of seconds ago with my Beastie Boys thing, which I thought was clever. Just thought right there in the moment, just went with it. And what the goal of the show is essentially I'm going to try and give you everything that's happening in the world today. Hot topics, current events, whatever it is. Oh, the camera's all screwed up. Look at that. You can see the laundry. You can see the side door to the other rooms. There's the TV. I like to keep it framed right there. Could you see the dog? Can we see dog? Incoming dog. What's that? What is that? Oh, that's the computer. Oh, there's the dog. Okay. All right. Dog. Where was I? This show is a rundown of all the day's current events, hot topics, headlines, whatever it is they're talking about on the TV box, whatever it is that when you walk to work every day and you see that little kid, that little tramp kid, little homeless kid, and he's going extra, extra. Hey, mister, the Japs have bombed Pearl Harbor. You know that kid? No, of course not. That kid's been dead for 3 decades. No, but there used to be, So that's what this show's about. Whatever it is that people are talking about, whatever the big headlines are, I try and give it to you. Now, I do it in a way that is a little bit different, and this is one of the reasons why I'm forced to stream like a goddamn peasant, possibly the best talk radio host in America. Forced to stream, because they can't handle the way I do talk radio. And what is that? Well, I don't do politics. That's basically the long and the short of it. I don't give a fudge about your politics, and you shouldn't give a fudge about my politics. Politics have no place in community talk. And I know this because I was a bartender. Before I became a talk radio host, all the way back in the 90s, I was a bartender, and I was a good bartender. People would come to the bar on nights when they knew that I was tending bar because I ran the bar like a talk show. I did. I would, well, and the big rules about bartending. And this is long and hard known rule. I don't know if this even happens anymore because the whole world is topsy-turvy. But the rule of the bartender was anything is open for discussion as long as it's not politics or religion. Those were the two things. I'm like, no, we don't do politics. We don't do religion here. And that's kind of the rules of this show. Now, who is this show for? This show is for the people that I like to see are us, the abandoned middle. 70% of us, I think it's a good 70% of the American population can consider themselves the abandoned middle. What does that mean? That means you're not one of the 15% who's fucking crazy on the right, and you're not one of the 15% who's fucking crazy on the left. Those people, we can't deal with them. Those people are screwing everything up. You know why? Because as is always the case, the 15% on the right and the 15% on the left are the loudest and the dumbest. And somehow they get more power, or shall we say influence. So the 70% that's left in the middle is us. Some of us are Republicans. Some of us are conservatives. Some of us are Christian conservatives. Some of us are liberals. Some of us are, some of us have face tattoos. Some of us go to church like 3 times a week. But we're all reasonable, and that's the thing. That's who this show is for. This show is for the reasonable, abandoned middle of America. I'm having the t-shirts printed up. Not really, but I would if there was a war chest for such marketing opportunities. I'd have the t-shirts. Here's the things. Here's who can't listen or can't watch. I don't want you streaming if you have ever been physically removed from an airplane. If you've ever been physically removed from an airplane and, for bonus points, gone viral because of it, can't listen to this show. I don't want people who have been physically removed from airplanes. You're not allowed to listen if you can't control yourself under the most mundane situations, like sitting on a plane waiting to fucking take off. That's what caused you to flip out? Oh, you, sir, or ma'am, as the case may be. You certainly won't be able to handle me. If you've ever gotten into a fist fight in a Target store, yeah, you're not allowed to listen to my stream. If you've ever been arrested for bonus points in that fist fight at the street, then yeah. Actually, someone pointed something out to me. What if you were attacked by a crazy person and then you have to say you were in a fist fight in a Target store? You're right, case by case. I'm a reasonable man. We're the reasonable center. See, we will take into account all extenuating circumstances. And the third one is if your family, they don't invite you to shit anymore. You know what I mean? Somebody dies, so you go to the wake. And then you start talking to the rest of your family and you learn that everybody went out to dinner for Danny's 21st birthday and you didn't even get invited. Yeah, you aren't allowed to listen. If that's you, if you're the one who didn't get invited to Danny's 21st, cousin Danny's 21st birthday party, you're not invited to listen to the show. Other than that, the rest of you, the 70% in the middle, of which I consider myself one, we're about to get 2 hours of entertainment. Hi, April. Let's say hi to the chat room as everybody files in. April's here. Hiya, April. Bill, happy Friday, bitches. That's what Bill says. Happy Friday to you. We got Peter. Hi, Peter. Hi, Barney. Hi, James. Jeff. Hold on. Let me go back. I got to move my thing back. Make sure I get everybody. KB, Pete, Byron. Where's Taronda? No Taronda. I always worry about Taronda. So, speaking of, okay, you know what? I don't think we've ever talked about this before. This is what Jesus, the camera's not framed properly. Nope, still getting to see the window. Don't want you to see the window. There you go. Okay. I don't think I've ever talked about this before. And by the way, let me just say from the outset, I know the show started late. I had some internet issues. We had internet issues yesterday. Did a whole bunch of things. Fixed it all up. It seems to be working. I seem to have fixed it. And I did a cold, hard, recorded thing at the start. That's why I was 10 minutes late. I was recording that to make sure it played back right and everything was good. And it is. We seem to be okay. So above and beyond, we've gotten past that. That's why we were late today. There's always an excuse. Isn't that great? Yeah, I'm like a politician. I always got an excuse for why I'm a few minutes late. So I was also talking to somebody this morning, a friend of mine. They gave me a call, and not a good friend. I mean, this is I shouldn't say that. I mean, he's a good friend, but we don't see each other an awful lot. And he just called me out of the blue, and he's like, "Hey, man, I got some bad news to deliver." I'm like, "Okay," and he's like, "So and so passed away." And so is a mutual friend of ours. So and so is somebody that I haven't seen in 15 years, but and didn't keep in regular contact with. But if I had run into them somewhere, I would be like, "Hey, man, come join us." One of those kinds of friends, Good, join us. No, what are you doing? Hey, how long are you in town? Are you here tomorrow? Oh, dude, let's have lunch. It's one of the, but not somebody who can call me and say, "Are you watching this Mavs game?" Not that close, right? But friends, someone I genuinely liked and was genuinely upset to hear that they had passed. I had known that they were ill, and they were ill. So the next thing is this person goes, their funeral is going to be in Waco. And my friend goes, so look, we're going to drive down, and Waco's not bad, right? Waco is not. It's not a crazy. It's not like going, yeah, and they're getting married or getting the funerals in Corpus Christi on Monday. Can you make it? It's not, so Waco is manageable. It's like, yeah, what is that? An hour in the car, Waco. So he's like, yeah, we're going to go down there. You want to come with us? And I said, no. And he goes, why not? And I go, I don't go to funerals. Holy shit. And I just realized that luckily, that has not been tested, not really been made public, but that has been a position of mine for about 10 years now. I don't go to funerals. Here's what, and I will make this statement right now. Maybe you won't be able to understand it, but that's okay. Please respect my own reasoning here. I don't go to funerals because, well, actually, here's the thing. I'm going to go to one more funeral. I will attend one final funeral in my life. that isn't my own. That's obviously I'll attend my own funeral. Although I don't want a funeral. I don't think it's right for me to want a funeral. If I refuse to go to anybody else's funeral ever again, my best friend, I will not go to their funeral. If I refuse to go to anyone's funeral, I then can't turn around and have a funeral. I don't want to have a funeral. Besides, I want my death to not be a celebration. I want it to be a burden. I've already told my son, ashes, and you have to take care of me forever. You have to really take care of my ashes. I don't give a shit. You're in college and it happens. I want my ashes in your dorm room. Creepy or not. Anyway, I'm only going to attend one more funeral, and that'll be my mother's. That's the only funeral that I will attend. And hopefully that is not for a while yet. But I will go to that funeral and I will crush at that funeral. I will get on. It will be that I am not waiting. Not please don't take this out of context. But I have some things to say to some people that might be in that room about my mother. So she's got that to look forward to while she's sitting up there in heaven. But that's it. That's the last funeral I'm ever going to go to. I won't go to my son's funeral. God, oh my God, I don't even want to make that into a thing that's now out in the universe, but God forbid if it were to happen, I ain't going. I won't go. First of all, for that one, I may not be around for, you know what I mean? Like that one is going to affect me in a way that I shouldn't be around people. I shouldn't be around. So I won't go to that. I mean, now I would, don't get me wrong. I would, if it was just like me and him, I certainly would, because then there's a responsibility to make sure that, everything is taken care of. But he's got a wonderful family. His mom's side and all, he's got wonderful people, all kinds. I won't be going. I will not be attending my son's funeral. Should there be a grave site, I am certain that I will spend large amounts of time there privately, but not. So anyway, I don't go to people's funerals. And I've never really had to talk about that before. And it came up this morning and I had to explain it to my friend. Like, well, what's this about? I go, well, first of all, I feel that funerals are performative and they serve no other purpose other than to allow people with checklists to make judgments about you. I hate that about funerals. It's never about the person there. It's just about a bunch of people and the small talk that they get into during all the downtime. And there's lots of downtime. I hate it. I hate the performative nature of it. I hate that you make a grieving widow perform in front of a whole bunch of people. She doesn't seem that upset, does she? Or, I hate that aspect of it. It seems archaic. It should be private. I think if people choose to have something small and intimate, that's fine. But these big, lavish funerals, are you going to the gravesite? Fuck no. I did not want to see human remains put in the ground today. Anyway, I find performative funerals to be performative and for other people and leastly about the person that we've all lost. And me not going to a funeral has nothing to do with how much I care about them. Has nothing to do with it. Well, it's a form of respect. You're being disrespectful. They're dead and you're disrespecting them. Yeah, I don't care. You know why? Because they're dead. They're dead. Let's be honest about who I'm disrespecting. I'm disrespecting you and your checklist. Who showed up? Who cared? Why? So you can talk catty later? Fuck you. I have to hang out and be around people I don't particularly like very much for business purposes all the time. I don't choose that in my regular life. My people are people who I love and trust and all that stuff, and who should be aware right now they ain't going to your funerals. But my people, I don't need to go to a funeral and see people that I only see at funerals who I don't like and they're horrible. You're being disrespectful. No, I'm not. They're dead. I am not being disrespectful. And then, by the way, that's all based on my beliefs. You are projecting your beliefs that they're what? What happens in your mind at a funeral? Does the dead person sit on a cloud and watch? Is that it? I don't think that's it. I don't think that's what's happening. I think that. And by the way, here's the other thing. Okay, so let's go down your path here. Let's pretend like that's what happens. Yeah, well, you're being disrespectful to them. They're up there in heaven watching you, and they're angry. They're rolling in their grave, as they say. No, they're not, because we hear them rattling around in the box right there. They're not rolling in their grave. So let's go with that. Let's go with the idea that they're up there watching, they're taking notes. That's what they're doing. They've just crossed from one plane of existence to another. They're in the eternal heavenly state of nirvana, whatever it is, whatever you believe. That's what, and you're telling me that you still believe first on their agenda is being a petty bitch? Oh, so-and-so didn't show up to my funeral? No. How about if we are going your path, here's what I think this person who we all miss, who just passed away, is probably most concerned with, because they're a good person, right? That's what we're saying, they're a good person. Okay, here's what they're probably most concerned with. Maybe, I don't know, how their children are handling their death and not whether or not Pugs showed up. So shut the fuck up with that. I feel a little defensive about it. I didn't get that angry on the phone. I didn't get angry at all on the phone. As a matter of fact, the conversation was very jocular. And my friend ended it by saying, you know, that's a pretty elaborate way for you to tell me that you don't want to take a drive to Waco. And I was like, yes. But you can also tell by how well I articulated that point that it's not something I just made up, and that it is truly something I believe in, and it felt for a very long time. So there you go. I got one funeral left in me. One funeral. And I'm going to cook at that funeral. All right. Barty Styles says, I don't like them, and I only go to close family members to support my sister. But I will say, for the one I had to plan, it gave me something to do besides drink myself to death. Yeah, man. See, God love you, Barney. Fuck, dude. That's how you handled it. And that's how you processed it. And that was what worked for you. And God bless you. Frank Smith. Frank, I love Frank and his random, all of that shit that you could possibly comment on about what I just said. My oldest friend Frank says, Waco has the silos and bakery. I don't know, what? Waco? That wasn't even the point of it. Frank does also, however, say a very, very smart thing. Frank Smith would like to point out that funerals are for the living. They are. And damn it, Frank, I wish I had you writing for me, because I would have included that in my little screaming rant. Funerals are for the living. That is probably the best thing that I've heard to see. Kevin says, silly Pugs. They don't look down sitting on a cloud. Everyone knows they peer at you through the crystal globe of eternity. Well, that's true. All right, that's it, folks. Wow, we really did a nice long small talk segment today. Do you know why we did a long small talk segment today? And you know why our small talk segments have been getting increasingly longer? Let me peer back the curtain for you to see what happens inside this head. About a week ago, I told you that I was looking to cut back on small talk, because that would be the smart thing to do, to get right into the subjects and get this show rolling. I told you that. And I said I was going to try and do that. But guess what? Remember my co-host, Schizophrenic Me, the guy who screws up everything? Schizophrenic Me has, for the last week, apparently been on a mission to make small talk as long as possible. Why? Because normal, smart, rational me says small talk should be shorter. All right, let's get started. Let's move into the show. Oh, by the way, we should mention this. That's right. The executive producer of today's show, today's executive producer, is awarded to the person who tips the biggest in the previous day's show. This show runs on your tips. You either support it and it stays, or you don't and it goes, and there's no harm, no foul either way. We've been doing this for 3 years. You're awesome. So the big tipper of the day before gets to be the executive producer of this show. Today's executive producer, well, it's nobody. Nobody. But instead, let's take this opportunity to honor the brave men and women of these here United States Armed Forces. Five years from now, the military is going to be nothing but drone operators and robot dogs. But yeah, while we still have a Memorial Day weekend in front of us, let's honor them. If you'd like to participate in any way in helping this show continue on, you can drop a little something at any point this weekend right there in the Cash App, or you can do the Venmo. Either one, they're both working. Thank you. Well, big weekend ahead, Memorial Day weekend on Monday. I don't know if I'm doing a show or not. I very well may. And there may be like only 3 of you, but that's okay, because you can't take days off. No, you can't. You got to keep going. All right, Byron says at my dad's funeral, An aunt I hadn't seen in years told me I looked like a sumo wrestler. I'd lost 100 pounds in the following months. Good for you. So you see, look at that. You went to a funeral and you got the life advice you needed from some, sounds like a bitch, Byron, if I'm being honest, but I'm glad that you took her bitchy, rude thing. How long? You hadn't seen her in years. It's the first thing you say. You got fat. Ugh. All right. 4 quarters is how the show unveils itself. It is a stream of consciousness where I just keep talking. And at some point here, I promise I will start talking about the stuff that's happening in the world today. But 4 quarters, first quarter, it's called Antecedently on This Day. It's a segment. It's a short segment. We go through the events that have helped shape our understanding of this day throughout history. Quarter 2, birthdays. You know what that is. Happy birthday. Are they cool? That's what we decide. Quarter 3 is deads, people who died. We decide whether or not they went to heaven or hell. First 3 quarters take about 30 minutes, maybe a little bit more. The rest of the show, quarter 4, is all the hot topics, current events, and all the things that we need to get you all prepped up on today, okay? So let's get started now. Round 1, quarter 1, I'm sorry. We call it Antecedently on This Day. Before that, I should tell you it is May the 24th. That is the day. It is the 145th day of the year, and there are 221 days remaining until the end of the year. Antecedently on this day in 1607, Jamestown, the first permanent English colony in North America, is founded. Where was that? Where was Jamestown? And how does this play into the Florida thing? I went to Florida once, and I was in a town, and they're like, this is the oldest town in America. And I'm like, I thought that was Jamestown. But they're like, nope. And I'm like, okay. So I don't know. I don't know anything about Jamestown. Is it still there? How many fires has Jamestown had? Flood? Wasn't there a big Jamestown flood? I think I know a song about the Jamestown flood. Same Jamestown? It's probably more than one Jamestown. Antecedently on this day in 1738, John Wesley is converted, essentially launching the Methodist movement. Happy birthday, Methodists! No clue what Methodists are, and you think I would. I live here on the campus of Southern Methodist University. You think I'd maybe have a little bit of curiosity. All it would take would probably be to just, Google Methodism. But no, I haven't done that yet. I don't know what it is. All right, chat room, I need a favor. What's weird about Methodists? Because, I don't believe in any religions, any organized groupthink type things. So I don't really know. I was raised an abused Catholic. And when I say abused, I just mean not sexually, but oh my God. Guilt and all of that. Ugh, I'm mentally abused for sure. And that's all I know. All I know is Catholicism. I can tell you about Catholicism. What is Methodism? What's weird about them? Do they screw funny? Like, Mormons, we like that because Mormons screw funny. What do Methodists do? Are they boring? Like, are Methodists just like wasps? And I know they're not Baptists because, Baptist, when I think Baptist, I think Black Baptists. But then there's also like white racist Baptist, which is interesting to share the same religion. But okay. Barty says it's rejection of Calvinism, I think. Okay. What's Calvinism? Now we've got more questions. What's Calvinism? And why did they reject it? Peter says they love potlucks, like potlucks dinner. That's okay. That is an attribute of a religion I can get behind. Like, if that's what your religion is known for, like if I said, what are the Catholics known for? It wouldn't be good. It would be like raping children, for one. But if, like, you're Methodist and, that's like what people think, well, they potluck dinners. Okay, I guess you guys are cool. Right. It was on this day the Methodists became a thing when John Wesley converted. It says here, antecedently on this day in 1873, Patrick Francis Healy becomes the first Black president of a predominantly white university in the United States. Dude, 1883, they made a Black guy president of a college in America. It wasn't a Black college either. And it was Georgetown. I mean, it wasn't even like Southwestern Texas State Tech. It was like Georgetown University made a Black dude the president of Georgetown in 1883. So when you want to defend the actions of the past and you want to be like, well, they just didn't know any better, they were men of their age, I always push back. No, there were men of their age who knew better. Apparently, a whole bunch of people in charge of one of the nation's premier universities in 1883 knew better. They thought it was fine to make a black dude the president of Georgetown University on this day in 1873. So stop defending your uncle from 1967 when he beat up a black kid with a baseball bat because they were trying to go to his school. Stop it. People knew better. People knew better. On this day, antecedently, in 1883. Let's go to 1883. We still ain't even in the 1900s. That's why this is a pretty happening day historically. The Brooklyn Bridge opened. There you go. Brooklyn Bridge, after 14 years, it was considered a marvel at the time. Have you ever seen the Brooklyn Bridge? I don't think I have. I've been to New York a lot of times, but I don't know if I've seen, because there's a couple bridges and they're all pretty impressive. I don't know. Anyway, okay, moving on. Antecedently, on this day in 1935, the very first Major League Baseball night game is played at Crosley Field. 1935. Cincinnati Reds beat the Philadelphia Phillies 2-1. The very first night game. On this day, antecedently, in 1976, the Judgment of Paris takes place in France. Oh, my goodness. I love this story. This is a cool story. I've seen this movie. I've seen this in a movie. I've seen this in a documentary. And there is a famous unmade John Belushi script and film. Like his next film after he died was supposed to be a movie called Noble Rot. And it was written by, I don't know, the history and the story behind Noble Rot, the film that Belushi never made, was very interesting. Like the pedigree was good. Like the director who was assigned to it was good, and the writers were like, whoa. But Noble Rot, I believe, was also the story of this, what happened in 1976, the Judgment in Paris. Here's what happened in Paris. I should say the movie Bottle Shock. If you've ever seen the great Alan Rickman, Chris Pine, I think. I love the movie Bottle Shock. That's a good movie. The movie Bottle Shock is about this. Also, Sideways. You know, isn't it weird? For some reason, I love all of these movies about wine, but I don't like wine. I'm the Fish and Gill Fisher of wine. Fish and Gill Fisher was a character John Candy played on SCTV. He was a fisherman who took people out on fishing tours, but he didn't eat fish. He didn't like fish. He loved to catch them, couldn't stand to eat them. That's like me with wine. So anyway, on this day, the Judgment in Paris is a wine tasting contest that occurred, and it was all French judges. And at that time in the wine world, Northern California wines were considered garbage, and French was considered, if it's not French, it's not. And so they set up this thing where they had this wine tasting, this big wine competition, and they had blind tastings by French judges, all French judges. They had blind tastings of all of these different wines, and in every single category, a Northern California wine won. Oh, and a lot of the judges afterwards were like, well, I'd like to try that again. That's not really but no. In blind taste tests, Northern California wines blew French wines off the freaking stage on this day in 1976, the Judgment in Paris. Bottle Shock is, now that I'm thinking about Bottle, there's a good documentary about it too, but Bottle Shock is, I think, the best movie, and it's a good story too. There you go. On this day, antecedently, 1976, the Judgment in Paris. Yes, so this is the event that launched California as a worldwide force in the production of quality wine. Antecedently, on this day in 1993, the Roman Catholic Cardinal Juan Jesus Posada Ocampo, respectfully, I attempted to pronounce that properly. So Catholic Cardinal and 5 other people are assassinated in a shootout at Miguel Hidalgo y Castillo Guadalajara International Aeroporte in Mexico. If you watch Narcos, this historical event was depicted in brutal detail in the Netflix show Narcos. Excellent. The murder of the Cardinal, where the Cardinal was some, I don't know if he was involved. I got to go back and watch that now. But anyway, it happened on this day. It was two drug cartels arrived at the airport at the same time, looking to kill the same dude, and there was a crossfire. And I think the Cardinal got stuck in the middle, or quite possibly, which is why I need to watch this again, the Cardinal was involved somehow. I don't know. Anyway, that's awesome. Narcos is great. Narcos Mexico is equally as good as Narcos Colombia. Antecedently on this day in 2019, under pressure over her handling of Brexit, Prime Minister Theresa May announced that she will be stepping down as leader of the Conservative Party. That's completely lost track of British prime ministers over the last 10 years. Completely. I have no idea. I used to, think that I could easily go back to Chamberlain. I could go Chamberlain, Church. I could go all through those. No, I don't know. They seem to get a new prime minister every 6 months over there. Antecedently on this, bring it down. Excuse me while I have a sip of coffee, while I provide you with a severe tonal adjustment. Two years ago today, Uvalde happened. So, wow, that is one of those, long after this show is done, years after we haven't done this show in years, right? It's like, oh, remember when you used to do that show? When that's the case, that Uvalde show will always haunt me. Because if you remember, we started the show at noon, and I delayed the start of the show. We were live because we were following these sketchy reports about a shooting at a school in Uvalde, Texas. And so we started the show the first 10 minutes listening to all this, trying to figure out what was happening. And we actually heard police discussions about how basically it's over and, okay, everybody go home and we're calling people back and all that. And that was like at 12:15 maybe. So I made the decision to move on. I said, all right, let's move on from this. And we did a regular show. I did my regular rant. And then I ended the show and I made myself a little bit of lunch and I went and I sat down and I put on CNN, and all of a sudden, right as I sat down, they break in with news that says that there's a hospital in San Antonio that has like 50 patients. And I'm like, wait, what? That's not what we heard. And it was like 3 hours later. There was like 3 hours of absolute media and information blackout that occurred in the Uvalde situation. And now we know what was going on in those 3 hours. Now we know that police were not being good. They weren't doing what they needed to do. It was 3 hours of children being killed and cops sitting outside the door going, you go first. No, you go first. Waiting on federal assistance. That's the thing that really pisses me off most about this. State of Texas decided very early on, when this thing started to blow over, that, I think for political reasons, I think that they understood that, oh my God, and it's not going to be good for, it's going to look bad. Rachel Maddow's going to go nuts on this, right? So I think the decision was made, and I don't think the decision was made. This is being talked about by everybody. Decision was made to pawn this off on the feds, to give this, to direct the enforcement of this mission, which at this point was still a fucking rescue mission. They decided that they were going to let federal agencies take the lead, and that federal agency was a border group that was like, a few miles away. And it took them like 3 hours to get on the scene. And when those guys did finally get on the scene, do you remember what they said? Because we've seen the raw body cam now. They got on the scene and they said, what the fuck have you guys been doing? So that's what happened with Uvalde. Don't ever not be mad about that. I don't know about forgiveness, how people react under pressure. Maybe you'll be able to forgive, but just don't forget what happened when children here in Texas were being slaughtered for 3 hours by a madman who was allowed to just hide inside the room because local cops, county cops, state cops, rangers, whatever, didn't want to take responsibility for whatever was about to happen. And they wanted to be able to use it politically to say, and once again, this was a botched job by the feds, and kids died. That's going to do it for Antecedently on this day. Thank you all very much. Now let's have another tonal adjustment as we get into birthdays. Birthdays. These are people who claim to be celebrating a birthday today. I don't know if it's true. It's just published, so let's go with it. On this day, born in 1819, Queen Victoria of those there United Kingdoms. I only mentioned Queen Victoria because she was, I guess, a good one. I guess a lot of good things happened during Queen Victoria's time. I don't know. And let's see here. Also born on this day in 1933. How about Jane Byrne? Jane Byrne. Now, this is a little one for my Midwestern friends, for my Chicago people. You might not know who Jane Byrne is on the national scale, but in Chicago, she's very famous. Oh my God, she's mentioned still to this day, she's mentioned every day on the radio and TV and all that during traffic reports because a major Chicago expressway has been named in her honor. Jane Byrne was the first female mayor of Chicago. I don't know if she was a good mayor or a bad mayor. I have no idea. I was like 5 or something. I don't know. But here's what I do remember about Jane Byrne. This was crazy. So Cabrini Green, which most people know as where Candyman lived in the Candyman movies, at least the first one, Cabrini Green, housing tenement, really rough part west side of Chicago, near northwest. I don't know what you'd call that. It's right too close to where the tourists are, is what I'd say. So Cabrini Green was a big problem for years and years and years. Good times. Keeping your head above water. They lived at Cabrini Green. That was Cabrini Green. So Cabrini Green was making national news because it was a kill field. I mean, it was just, gangs and all that were out of control in the 1970s. Good thing they fixed that. So the mayor of Chicago, Jane Byrne, moved into Cabrini Green. She moved into a tenement. She lived there for 3 weeks. It was a publicity stunt, but it was also very funny. I remember being 6 years old and thinking, that's hysterical. That old white lady is moving into Cabrini Green. My God. Happy birthday, Jane Byrne, born on this day in 1933. Born on this day in 1938, the great Tommy Chong. And when I say the great Tommy Chong, I mean the great Tommy Chong. Tommy Chong was a radio whore. Tommy Chong did radio a million. I've met Tommy. I've hung out with Tommy Chong. I've done interviews with Tommy Chong for like 30 years. Tommy Chong is great. Yeah, Tommy Chong is a really nice man. Happy birthday, Tommy Chong. He is, I don't know. I mean, I can say that I've seen him in enough off-camera, behind-the-scenes, real-life, hanging out situations to be able to say that I know. Like, I've seen him when he's not doing the act. But that's not an act. That is Tommy Chong. Like he doesn't like turn it on and off like Jim Carrey or whatever. That's Tommy Chong. Hey man, hey, how you doing, man? Everything is nice, everything is good. Let's all just get around. That's him. That's a goddamn monk of a man. So what? He's high all the time. So what? He is a genuinely sweet and decent guy. At least that's been my experience. And they put him in jail. They put him in jail for marketing a line of bongs for something that's now widely legal. Born on this day in 1938, the great Tommy Chong, one of them dudes. No, I can't. You know what? I'm not going to put him in my category of them dudes because I got a category of them dudes, and those are almost always, when I call someone a them dude, other people might go, he's a real Renaissance man. That's what I mean. One of them dudes. Tommy Chong ain't one of them dudes. Tommy Chong is Tommy Chong. That's it. He's just that. But like with a dude like Chris Christopherson, who I always use as like an apex them dude, like Chris Christopherson is like a great songwriter and country singer. That's what Chris Christopherson is. But he's also like a scholarship football athlete, and then an Oxford, what do they call that? A Rhodes Scholar, and a military captain who flew helicopter. That's one of them dudes. Tommy Chong is just Tommy Chong. Born on this day in 1941. I don't know what he is. He's not even one of them dudes. The guy I'm about to mention right now, in one of them dudes, and he has exceeded just singular celebrity status. Icon for sure, legend absolutely. The kind of person that I believe will be remembered hundreds and hundreds of years from now, the way we remember today Mozart and Bach, even Shakespeare. I'm talking about creative people. And that's happy birthday, Bob Dylan. Bob Dylan. I said all of that about Bob Dylan. And now I'm going to tell you something else about Bob Dylan. Not a fan. Not a fan. Not a fan, man. I think the best stuff Bob Dylan ever did was with Johnny Cash, if I'm being honest. I mean, but Bob Dylan on his own doesn't really, look, the story, great story. Seems like a good dude, seems like a talented guy. The stuff he creates just simply doesn't connect with me. That's all. I'm not I'm choking. I'm gonna die right here. Just doesn't connect with me. And don't give me like, oh, you just, you're not, you just don't, you don't appreciate the art of it. I go, well, shut up, dude. What are you talking about? Don't appreciate the art of it. I'm a huge fan of people like Norman Mailer, and yeah, I've talked about how I'm a big fan of Shakespeare and Hemingway. Springsteen is my favorite performer on the planet, and it's only because of the depth of his words. So don't tell me that I'm not. Dylan just never appealed to me. But happy birthday, Dylan. Happy birthday. Born on this day in 1941. Born on this day in 1943. A guy, I'm going to tell you his name. You might even go, wait, who is that? Or maybe you're a little bit older and you'll be like, yeah, I know that name. But this dude, when I was like 6 years old, he was, if you'd asked me, like, who's the most famous person in the world? And I would have said Gary Berghoff. Gary Berghoff, born on this day in 1943. Who was he? I don't know. He only did one thing. He's basically, if you say, hey, 6-year-old Pugs, who's the most famous actors in Hollywood? I'd be like Gilligan, Radar from MASH, and Fonzie. Those would have been, you might have been looking for me to say something like John Wayne, Spencer Tracy, Jimmy Stewart. No, I'd go on Fonzie. I'd go on Gilligan. Maybe even Alice from the Brady Bunch. She was pretty big in my celebrity world at that point. But yeah, Gary Berghoff, he played Radar O'Reilly on MASH. Huge star. He was a huge star for a period of time. And now, I don't know. Well, now he's a little bit older, so he's probably counting his money. Born on this day in 1944. Happy birthday to Patti LaBelle. She going riding in her freak. No, is that Aretha? Who's Pink Cadillac? I know. It's thinking you're like, why? That's Springsteen, Pugs. Pink Cadillac. That's Springsteen. But no, isn't there another song? Patti LaBelle. I don't know what Patti LaBelle does. I don't. Whatever. I know that she's one. I'm not really familiar with Patti LaBelle. So, but I think we're gonna say that she's the Pink Cadillac girl. Could be Aretha. I don't know. Moving on. Born on this day in 1945, Priscilla Presley. I'm going to say this about Priscilla Presley because I looked into this. I looked into this a while back. And by a while back, I mean, I don't know, a couple months ago. I think it was when I was watching. I think I watched that movie Priscilla. Remember the movie Priscilla? I didn't watch the whole thing because it was not my thing. But I remember whenever I watch a movie about somebody, I will tend to like jump into their Wikipedia page first and then fall into a bunny and try to just learn as much as I can about them and then, watch whatever movie it is that's supposed to be a bio about them. So I did that with Priscilla Presley. And one of the things that's always bothered me is the fact that she was so young when Elvis hooked up with her, right? And my entire life, Priscilla Presley has been a woman. And more to the point, my entire life, Priscilla Presley has been a beautiful woman, just a beautiful woman. So I wasn't really familiar with what she looked like when Elvis was hooking up with her. When Elvis was like in his 20s and in the military and she was like 15 or 14 and like his general's daughter. Yeah, did you know that? She was like the daughter of a general. Anyway, moving on. So I want to see what she looked like because in my mind, I'm trying to make excuses for Elvis. Because Elvis was probably a pedophile. Probably. She's like 14 years old. I don't know. 15 maybe, 16. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. She's still a kid. So I want to see what she looked like. And here's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping that it was one of these deals where like, yeah, she's 15, but she looks 30. She looks like a Las Vegas cocktail waitress working the Sands. That's what I was hoping for. That wasn't the case. She looked like a little kid, man. She looked like a little kid. Not as bad as Jerry Lee Lewis and his cousin bride. Jerry Lee Lewis's cousin bride looked like she was in middle school. Priscilla looked a little bit older than that, but still, Priscilla did not look like a grown woman. She looked like a child. Elvis. Elvis, you could have had, honestly, dude, you could have had anyone in the world, and you went with a child. Yeah. Don't think about that one too long if you enjoy Elvis. Moving on. Born on this day in 1947, Waddy Wachtel. Waddy Wachtel. Why do we mention Waddy Wachtel? Waddy Wachtel is a guitar player, studio musician, American guitarist, also a singer-songwriter, record producer. Waddy Wachtel played guitar on every single hit song from the 1970s and 80s. Doesn't matter. He played with everybody. Moving on. Happy birthday. Hiccups. Nope, I'm going to beat him. This is what happens with a stream of consciousness. When all you do is talk, your breathing rhythm gets out and Happy birthday, Waddy Wachtel, American guitarist. Born on this day in 1953. Happy birthday to one of them guy actors. Not to be confused with a them dude. He's a them guy actor, but he's one of my favorite them guy actors. He's one of these dudes that no matter what he's in, well, let me get a good picture of him. Yeah, that'll be a good picture of him. Well, no matter what he's in, I'm like, oh, okay, at least I know this is quality because that guy doesn't do garbage, right? Happy birthday, Alfred Molina. Alfred Molina. Do you know who he is? He's that guy. Yeah, we all know that guy. That's Alfred Molina. I couldn't tell you one thing he's in. Couldn't tell you one thing he's in. Think he's been in everything. Can't tell you one thing. That's got to be the mark of a good character actor. Where you're just like, oh, yeah, I remember that guy. Because one, they stand out in a role where they're not the lead. And then, you've seen them in so much stuff because they get so much work because they're so good. Alfred Molina, look at him. He seems like a nice guy. He seems fun. He always plays kind of a fun character. Alfred Molina, born on this day, 1953. Happy birthday. I think he's English. I think he's one of those guys that sometimes I see a clip where he's on a talk show and don't really age, right? And it's like, wait, I thought he was from the Bronx. His name is Molina. He's not Puerto Rican? What? Moving on. Born on this day in 1955. Oh, yeah. Not a tonal. We don't need to do a tonal change. Why would we do a tonal change? I'm talking about how much I like Alfred Molina, and now I want to talk about how much I really like this next individual. Born on this day in 1955. The great, and I believe underappreciated, Rosanne Cash. Rosanne Cash is an incredible songwriter. Rosanne Cash, look, Johnny Cash is one of the great presences in music in the history of American music, not just country music. I mean, Johnny Cash crossed over. Johnny Cash was hosting network variety shows in the 1970s, doing duets with Bob Dylan and Frank Sinatra. Johnny Cash crossed over. He's big and he's very talented. One of my favorites. Another one of those guys. Johnny Cash, another one of those guys that I did not discover until I was a grown-up. And then when I was a grown-up, I started listening to him. And I'm like, oh my God. Now I understand why Trent Reznor wanted to work with him so desperately. Rosanne Cash is his daughter. It's his daughter by his first wife. She had a number of big country hits beginning in the late 70s, early 80s. And most notably, a truly incredible song. I don't even know if this is her biggest song. I know it's been covered by like Trisha Yearwood and a couple of other people. Taylor Swift is who I think needs to cover the Rosanne Cash #1 hit from, I don't know, probably 1981, 7-Year Ache. That's a great song. That is a great, great song. And it's about Rodney Crowell. Did you know that? She was married to Rodney Crowell, and the song 7-Year Ache by Rosanne Cash. I think Taylor Swift needs to remake that song. I think that song was a big enough hit, and it's a big enough staple of like country pop because it crossed over. I think that, by the way, if you don't know what it is, you just go to Spotify, just go to YouTube or something. Anyway, it's a great song. It's got an incredible chorus. You put that in a studio and you remix that, and you can turn. First of all, I believe that song lends itself to absolutely every genre because I have seen rock dudes do that song on an acoustic guitar. Rock dudes, like hard rock. It's just a great song. It's a great song, lends itself to all kinds of interpretations. I'm just a big fan of Rosanne Cash. I don't know if you've ever seen her be interviewed. I don't know if you've ever seen her be talked to. She is smart. She's a little bitchy. Like she's got a little bit of an edge to her. She's kind of a country bad girl. She's Johnny Cash's daughter. Back in the 80s, she liked a good time. Rosanne Cash, happy birthday. You're a cool ass bitch. She's cool. Born on this day in, 1965. Oh my God, I'm enjoying the birthday segment today. You're telling me that I get to talk about my adulation for Alfred Molina. Then I get to go in and talk about my old lady crush that I have on Roseanne Cash. And now I get to talk about somebody who I just, the other day I was talking about how I have this list in my head. I call them the sickly six. They're the ugly. There's only like about 6 ugly males that are allowed to be stars in Hollywood. And they're called the sickly six. And they're just, they're used as the best friend of the super handsome leading man or whatever. And they're ugly. And you're like, how did that ugly guy get to be famous? Steve Buscemi is a good example. Not Christopher Walken. Willem Dafoe is a good example. Paul Giamatti is good. Anyway, point is this. On my list, I left this guy off because he's also an ugly actor. He's an ugly man who is allowed to act, but I think he's different. I think whereas like Buscemi and Defoe and Giamatti, I think they're all incredible actors. They're great actors. Can't be ugly and not good. But this guy does something a little bit. I don't know. This guy, I think, is just a little bit above. Happy birthday, born on this day in 1965, on the south side of Chicago, Oak Lawn's own John C. Reilly. Come on. You guys, John C. Reilly? You kidding me, right? You all know this. Every time you see John C. Reilly show up in a movie, he pops up on the screen, you start to smile. You know why? Because you can't help but smile with this son of a bitch. Ladies and gentlemen, John C. Reilly's birthday. He's the coolest. He's the coolest. He's the bestest. He's the funniest. And not only is he funny, which is why I put him in my list of the top guys out there. Anything that he does, what's his next project? Ooh. For me, this dude, John C. Reilly, is like Sam Rockwell. Sam Rockwell is in that same category, except Sam Rockwell's handsome. But you tell me Sam Rockwell did a movie, I'll see it. I'll watch it because I know it's going to be good. You tell me John C. Reilly is doing a movie, I'm going to watch it. And because of that, on his birthday, you better damn well believe we're doing a John C. Reilly draft. Hell yeah. This is a draft of the movies that John C. Reilly has either starred in or stood out in. We do it like an NFL draft. We treat his films as if they were kids coming out of college, and we do a 1 through 5. The first pick off the board is the number 1 draft pick. The first pick off the board. We don't do it, in reverse, building up. No. First pick off the board. Let's do our John C. Reilly draft. First pick in the John C. Reilly draft. Well, see, this is so hard for me. The first 3, man, if I had to make this list again, the first 3, and I did it okay, I'm going to do it again, they would come out differently. It would come out differently. Okay, so just go with it this way. We're going with it. We're locked it in this way. The first pick off the board in the John C. Reilly draft is his character, Reed Rothschild, Boogie Nights. Come on, Dirk Diggler, Mark Wahlberg's best friend. Come on, he was so awesome. And I think really that's the first movie where he totally stood out to me. It's also the first movie where Philip Seymour Hoffman totally stood out for me. How about we just go ahead and start talking about Boogie Nights like the landmark film that it was? Number 2 off the board, Burt Reynolds. Has Burt Reynolds ever been better in anything? Smokey and the Bandit? Good point. Has Burt Reynolds ever been better in anything? Longest Yard? Okay. Has Burt Reynolds ever been better in anything? Deliverance? All right. Hooper? No. Burt Reynolds was better in Boogie Nights than he was in Hooper. Possibly not Deliverance or Smokey and the Bandit or Longest Yard or possibly even Cannonball Run. I don't know. Boogie Nights is a great movie. Number 2 off the board in the John C. Reilly draft on his birthday, the second best film in his filmography. Another fairly serious role. Actually, this was a totally serious role. He's incredible. It makes me cry. Magnolia. John C. Reilly in Magnolia. The very idea that he didn't win an Oscar for that, did he? Hey, schizophrenic me, look that up. Look up if John C. Reilly won an Oscar for Magnolia, because he should have. I'm not real. Oh. I don't know. As the cop in Magnolia? Come on, man. John C. Reilly. Number 2 off the board. Number 3 off the board. And this is it. And you're gonna see after I say number 3, you're gonna be like, yeah, I could see how that could be number 1. I could see how that could also be number 2. I could see how any of these could be Step Brothers. Let me tell you something about Step Brothers. I know a whole bunch of you youngsters, like my son and his Gen Zers, and even a bunch of you millennials. A whole bunch of you now. You run around. You make comments about the Catalina wine party. You dropping all of these one-liners from Step Brothers. Step Brothers in 2024 is a classic. Do you know that when Step Brothers came out, I'll never forget this because I stayed married to this belief. When Step Brothers came out, I came on the air. It was during the Pugs and Kelly days. Came out on the air and I talked about Step Brothers. I talked about how much I loved it. And I don't know who it was. I think it was Dick Hunter. Who was like, yeah, that seems like a really great movie. I'm like, no, fuck you, snob. It's a great movie. And then my partner Kelly, she was like, yeah, I don't know, it looks stupid to me. And then Eric's like, I ain't saying it. And I'm like, I'm the only guy who thinks Step Brothers is good in 2000 and I don't even know what year it was. I feel vindicated. Step Brothers is a classic. Step Brothers, number 3, off the board in the John C. What year was it? Hold on, let's find out what year Step Brothers was. But 2008. All right, there we go. 2008. I remember being down with Step Brothers and being openly mocked by everybody. That looks stupid. They're not even kids. Why are they acting like kids? That's what's funny about it. Because they have stunted maturity. Because they've been coddled by both of their parents. You think the parents are the good ones, but actually the parents fucking suck and created these monsters. That's the point of Step Brothers. And it's only after these two volatile individuals are forced to live together due to the marriage of their mom and their dad that we get all that great stuff. That's a good movie, Step Brothers. Number 3 in the John C. Reilly draft. Number 4 in the John C. Reilly draft, Shake and Bake, Talladega Nights. Talladega Nights. That's such a funny movie. Again, are they friends still? Or did they stop? Oh, they stopped being friends, right? Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly are no longer friends. That's right. Holy shit. God, they were great together, weren't they? John C. Reilly and Will Ferrell, Talladega Nights, Step Brothers. I mean, comedy gods, a duo that is just iconic. You know what happened? You know why they're not friends anymore? I'm remembering all this now. So John C. Reilly and Will Ferrell and who's the other guy? Who's the guy that does all their movies? He's now like a big movie guy. Adam McKay. It was Adam McKay. So it was Adam McKay, John C. Reilly, and Will Ferrell conceived of the idea for what is the HBO series Winning Time, the story of the Lakers. They created that series for HBO, the story of the Lakers. That was I don't know what their company is called. I think it used to be called, I don't know. It had a dude's name, Gary Sanchez Productions. Yes, that's what it was, because it was a baseball player too. So it was Gary Sanchez Productions. So that's who was creating that. That's the three-headed monster involved there. Now, at some point during the production of that series for HBO, Will Ferrell decided that he wanted to play Jerry Buss, the owner of the Lakers, a role that went to John C. Reilly. And John C. Reilly was awesome in it, and I can't imagine anybody else playing him, but Will Ferrell wanted it. And it came down to Adam McKay, and Adam McKay decided that John C. Reilly was going to be better as Jerry Buss. And he was probably right, and Will Ferrell got mad, took his ball, went home, and they haven't talked since. Yes, Jeff. Jeff says, I thought Adam McKay and Will Ferrell were no longer friends. And that is true. They are no longer friends. And it's because of the split the decision to let John C. Reilly become Jerry Buss. Number 5 in the John C. Reilly draft. How about Walk Hard? I mean, I was just talking about Johnny Cash. Why not talk about the hysterical parody film Walk Hard, which was John C. Reilly as a Johnny Cash type individual. It's his life story. It's very, very funny. All right, that's going to do it. Those are the 5 top picks in the John C. Reilly movie draft. Number 1, Boogie Nights. Number 2, Magnolia. Number 3, Step Brothers. Number 4, Talladega Nights. Number 5, Walk Hard. Now, we are going to invite some films to free agent. No, we're not. We're running late. We're going to invite all of them. All John C. Reilly films get invited to camp. He's just that good and everything. All right, let's move on. Deads, let's do the deads. Quarter 3, deads. Here we go. These are the people who have died on this day. We decide whether or not they will go to heaven or hell. And we're going to do it a little differently today because, wow, is this weird. I tell you people, I say, look, this is why we do these segments, because I look for rhythms, I look for patterns, I look for things that are just unexplainably weird that coincidentally occur on the same day or at the same time. So today we are going to do the dead segment a little bit different. Here's how it's going to be different. Every single one of them go to heaven. 1, as I said, I'm running late and we need to speed this up. 2, every single one of them goes to heaven. Now, that's only part of what's interesting about today's people who died on this day segment. It is interesting, in fact, that they all died on this day. That's interesting. It's also interesting that they're all going to heaven, but that's not it. These are all the celebrities. These are all the people of note who I went through the list starting in the year of the Pharaoh. I went through this list of names of people who died on this day. And these are the ones I tend to concentrate on the last 100, 150 years. But unless there's somebody really big, but I cherry picked these as being the one. I mean, there's like a football player that's barely famous that died and some old timey movie actors, but no, of the names that jumped out that went, this person died, this person died, this person died, this person died. Holy shit. I mean, they all go into heaven because they are some of the cornerstones of American music of the past 100 years, all dead on this day. Are you ready for this list? Elmore James, Sonny Boy Williamson, Duke Ellington, Gene Clark. If you don't know who Gene Clark is, it's because he died. Gene Clark on this day in 1991. Gene Clark was the leader of the Byrds, who were considered like transcendently important in the history of rock and roll. Gene Clark and Tina Turner. Holy shit. It's all music people. All music icons of their individual form. Elmore James, for instance, he's considered the greatest, one of the greatest guitar players of all time, but basically the godfather of slide guitar. Anybody who plays slide guitar today is like, Elmore Leonard could do it better. Sonny Boy Williamson, harmonica player, considered one of the great harmonica players and blues acts of the last 80 years. Duke Ellington. Do I need to say anything about? There are very few people in music history of any era who are as successful as Duke Ellington. Duke Ellington in his time is in the Michael Jackson Prince category. Gene Clark of the Byrds, again, super important to rock and roll and the way rock and roll evolved. Gene Clark of the Byrds essentially invented desert rock, created the whole Southern rock avenue, created the whole country rock genre. There are no Eagles without Gene Clark. There was no Linda Ronstadt or Jackson Browne without Gene Clark. And then Tina Turner. There you go. They're all going to heaven. That's pretty big. That's pretty big. All right, let's move on now into the fourth quarter of the show. This is where we talk about all the things that are happening today, the big headlines. You know what? I got to see if there's any breaking news going on. How about this? The stream is held together today, huh? Pretty good. I was worried that we were going to have some real problems because I had to reconnect everything this morning just before we went on, hoping for a clean stream, and I think it's been working out well. If you want to help this show stay on the air as we head into a long Memorial Day weekend, drop a little something in the tip jar. That's how we run. We've been doing it for 3 years now, every day, Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. I'll give you all the news, all the headlines, all the hot topics, and hot takes to boot. All you got to do is keep us on the air. You do that by dropping a little something in the tip jar. You can do it via Venmo or Cash App or however is most convenient for you, but only those two ways. Hopefully those two ways are most convenient for you. All right, let's move on. These are all the hot topics and big stories that are happening. Oh, I should get rid of, look at me. I've had him up the whole time. The whole time we were looking at John C. Reilly's mug. Southside. Very proud that he's from Oak Lawn. I love that. Who is it? Oak Lawn is like this suburb on the south side of Chicago. I think, if I'm being honest, I think it's the first suburb. I think it's like because it's connected to Chicago. They got a lot of famous people from Oak Lawn. Kanye West, John C. Reilly. Did you think that John C. Reilly and Kanye West prowled the same mean streets as kids growing up? Because they did. So did Dwayne Wade. So did REO Speedwagon. Yeah. Oak Lawn. You got to love Oak Lawn. Wait, maybe not REO Speedwagon. Maybe it was Styx. Maybe some people from Styx lived in Oak Lawn. Anyway, moving on. Let's talk about the big stories. The big story out of the box. Let's talk about this global things happening here. I've been saying for the last week, guys, shit's happening all over the world, and we're like distracted by whether or not Trump can stay awake in court. Israel is making the big headlines this morning as UN, the United Nations, the what is it called? The International Criminal something wing of the United Nations. They have, well, you know what? Instead of me freeballing it, I'm just going to read you what they say here because it's big words and I'm a dumb guy, and let's make sure I pronounce them correctly. Israel has been ordered to immediately halt their Rafah offensive by the top court, by the top UN court. I mean, how about that, huh? The United Nations, of which Israel is a member of, the United Nations highest court has ruled that you got to stop this, Israel. Stop it. What does that mean? Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. Speckless. There is absolutely no way to stop this. And but here's what it is. And it's performative. This is what we're all about. We're about what it looks like, not what it actually is. What it looks like is that the UN is being very critical of Israel without actually doing anything. You can make the same argument for the International Criminal Court, who 3 days ago put warrants into effect for Benji Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel. By the way, you know who was like instrumental in that? Amal Clooney. That's right. George Clooney's wife is like the attorney for the International Criminal Court, who was like one of the big people involved in that. I mean, look, I don't give a shit about it. Like, I'm not like politically outraged at how dare that. I don't know. I don't care. Whatever. Not my business. Above my pay grade, as they say. So whatever it is that she's involved. Jesus, car's making noise. So whatever it is, I don't know. I don't have a stake in it either way or the other. But I will say this, God, that makes her hot. First of all, she is so sexy, but also she's an International Criminal Court lawyer. Fudge. That is hot. Like, she comes home from work and George is just like laying around because he's an actor and he's on the couch and he's maybe in sweatpants and a white t-shirt looking all handsome and shit. Didn't do anything all day, got a little bit of a beard going, but then again, that's Clooney anyway. So he's on the couch, he's going through scripts. And then Amal comes home from her job at the International Criminal Court, just looking fucking fantastic. The black skirt and the little jacket. And oh, man. And then she starts getting undressed. And he's like, hey, hon. And she's like, hey, how was your day? Oh, my God, that's hot. She's a hot woman, that Amal Clooney. What did you think? Clooney was going to be with a beast? Well, no, but maybe a dumb hot woman. Instead, he's with a pretty accomplished chick. Anyway, there you go. So the UN is telling Israel to cut it out. We mean it this time. And then Israel's response is, or what? And they're like, we'll get back to you. All right, what else is happening? This was breaking just before we went on. I think this needs to be mentioned. The Turks and Caicos, the government there, the laws, the courts, whatever you want to call it, they have made a decision on that Oklahoma dude who couldn't pack correctly. Remember that guy? Guy caused all this problem because fucking idiot couldn't empty out his duffel bag. he goes to Turks and Caicos on a nice fun weekend with his wife and another couple, and it's a fun couple. Sounds like a nice all-American thing to do. He gets there, they're going through his bag at customs, and they find a bunch of bullets that he had left in there from a hunting trip. He didn't empty his bag, probably. He didn't get it. You can't bring bullets internationally, okay? I know, America, Second Amendment. I know, I get it. I'm for it. We're all there. Shut up about it. It's not going anywhere. And if they try, I promise, a bunch of us will be on your side. Just fucking shut up about it. But anyway, Turks and Caicos ain't Florida, dude. Turks and Caicos ain't Hawaii. Turks and Caicos is international travel. And just because we're an American and we have these beliefs, we have to understand and recognize that when we do travel internationally, that we are no longer in Oz, okay? Or Kansas, I guess is what I was trying to say. Not Kansas anymore, hillbilly. So dumbass who couldn't pack properly causes all of this problem. Now, also, what did Turks and Caicos have to come so hard for? Were they trying to make an example? Is this a big stand for Turks and Caicos to the rest of the world where they can go, the brutal and mindless gun laws in the United States will not be tolerated by the fine folks of Turks and Caicos? Oh, shut up. Nobody even knows where you are. If I were to go down on the street with a globe and say, hey, dude, quickly, find Turks and Caicos, nobody would be able to do it. So why they came so hard against us on this, I don't know. I got questions. But I can get over them. You know what? I don't have questions. You know why? Because fucking Turks and Caicos is absolutely insignificant. So whatever. But for whatever reason, these little pissants decided that they were going to take a stand and enforce a law that was, legally there, and it is their law, but they didn't have to handle it this way. So what happens? We send a bunch of jackass politicians down there for a week on our taxpayer dime, by the way. Probably all flew private. We send a team down there to negotiate with the... Come on, man. All you had to do was fucking pack your bag properly. And all this. Hotels. Every senator that went down there had a staff of 10 who also flew. Needs their own hotel room. I don't know. It's just nonsense. The big dumb waste of money. Anyway... He's guilty. He was found guilty in court in Turks and Caicos. And now, after all of that, here's the end result. 1 year suspended sentence. He's being released now. He'll be home tonight. There you go. All that for that. All that for that. We sent people down there. It was 2 weeks of this being covered on the news. An American was just exercising his rights as an American. You see all that bullshit. It's like, no, let's just boil this down. This dude fucked up packing, and all of this was turned into a big political circus on the global stage about how Turks and Caicos is standing up to America, and we won't tolerate this because we're better people. Fuck you. You're not better people. You live in Turks and Caicos. That's where we go on vacation. All right, moving on. That's the Turks and Caicos story. Border bill. This happened last night. This is another one got me fired up. I don't get this. Well, actually, I do get. You know what? I don't even want to talk about this story. We're not going to talk about the border bill story because I'm too angry about it. There was a border bill. There was a bipartisan border bill that was presented in the Senate, and it didn't even get to a floor vote because it was blocked by activist politicians who are simply trying to maintain the idea that the border is going to be a big issue on Election Day. They don't want to fix the border. Nobody wants to fix. Well, I don't know if anybody wants to. I shouldn't say that. But here's the real ugly truth. There are people out there campaigning on the idea that Biden is doing nothing about the border and that they're doing nothing and they don't care. Meanwhile, they've been doing a lot and they've been working across partisan. And they've got bills called the best bill in 50 years. I don't know who's calling it that, right? Fuck them. That could just be propaganda as well. I don't know, but it seems like there is something that could have been done. And no, and here's why they said, no, we're not going to vote for this bill. Not because it's not a good bill, not because it won't fix things. It's because you can't campaign on the border being a mess if there is actual action about 6 months before the election where you're trying to fix the border, where you can actually show the American people, look, we're trying to fix the border. We're trying to do this. We're doing stuff. No, it is better for certain people to be able to point to the border and tell you all to be scared about what's happening while hoping, and not only hoping, but forcing their supplicants to do their evil bidding on the floor of Congress. Make sure this doesn't pass. God forbid we fix the border before Election Day. Think about the corrupt nature of that. And you want to call yourself a patriot? You're running around like you're a patriot? Fuck it. Is it really a problem? I think it is. I think the border's a real problem. Let's get a new border bill. A bipartisan border bill, by the way. But no, they don't want to fix it. You can't. If it's fixed, then you know why? Because if it does get fixed, then guess who gets to go? I fixed it, Biden. And they are desperately afraid of that because they've spent the last 3 years campaigning on the border's a mess. So they need it to remain a mess. Stop it. You know that's what's happening, you guys. You know that's what's happening. And somehow you just conveniently stow that in a different part of your brain so that you can go, well, I'm an American. God bless America. Yeah, happy Memorial Day fucking weekend. Aren't we supposed to be talking about and thinking about and caring about people who died and gave their lives in service to this country? And, we've got this kind of nonsense happening in our government on both sides. But in this particular case, it is a very specific wing. It's the crazy 15% who got themselves elected. That's who did this. The crazy 15% who was complaining loudest about the border is the same people who made sure that no help is coming for the border because they want to be able to keep complaining about the border because their fucking cash registers ring when they do. Everybody needs an enemy. Everybody needs something to rally against, and this is what they're doing. So if it gets fixed, oh my goodness, now we're all screwed. And by all, I mean that crazy 15% over there on the right. All right. Whew. Hurricanes. Hey, guys, here we go. It's hurricane season. Is it hurricane season? Look at that. When I think of hurricane season, I always think of the fall. Is that wrong? And I think that's because I watched Hurricane Katrina happen while watching football on a Sunday. It was like Sunday, and I remember watching football on a Sunday, and there was that box in the corner, the weather box for the whole game. I'm like, what the fuck? So I guess it would make sense. So hurricane season would be whatever during the transition of winter into summer and also summer into winter. That would make sense, whatever. But it is hurricane season. Part 1, and they're saying that it is going to be, of course they are. Of course, who is they? Well, the people who try to control us, the people who want to keep us all frightened, the people who want to keep us ginned up, they, them, that. They're telling us, prepare, but most of all, be frightened. Be frightened and need me, because I'm going to tell you how to survive this. That's the plan. That's why everything, well, anyway, worst hurricane season ever is coming in the next couple of weeks. So be scared. Be scared. And for God's sakes, read more. Read what you can do to survive the worst hurricane season ever. New preseason hurricane forecast is highest ever issued. Brace yourself, Florida. It literally fucking says that in the headline. Brace yourself, Florida. It's going to suck for you in a few weeks. How bad could the upcoming hurricane season be? Well, maybe one of the busiest ever. And that's some bullshit writing too. Again, let me go back to journalism school. Maybe you have already established in the headline that you are attempting to convince the reader that this is going to be the worst hurricane season ever. And then in the first sentence of the first paragraph, you suddenly insert maybe. Oh, fuck you. All right, fuck you. Maybe. Did I get you scared? All right, now that I got you here reading. Oh, hey, pop-up. Check out the pop-up. I know you want to keep reading, but check out the pop-up first. Okay, you vexed out of the pop-up. Maybe it'll be the worst. Did I get you? I hate the way we are manipulated at every turn, and you should hate it as well. Here's a fun story. Let's talk about this, okay? The worst hurricane season ever may not be coming, but you know what are? Chinese rifle shooting robot dogs are coming. I'm going to show you this. So I told you about what's going on over there in China and Taiwan. Taiwan pissed off China. This robot dog story is hysterical. Taiwan pissed off China. I don't know, like what, historically, maybe? I don't know if it was like any one instance, but they elected a dude that wants Taiwan to be free. And I don't know what's the deal with Taiwan. I don't want to get into this now, but like Taiwan, are they free but not free? Are they free but ruled by China? I don't know. Whatever. I should probably pay attention to this since it could be one of the cornerstones of World War III. So China got mad at Taiwan for electing somebody. Apparently, they didn't elect the guy they wanted China to elect. So they decided now, as punishment, they are going to do these Chinese military drills encircling Taiwan as a show of force. Like, look, we've got you completely surrounded, assholes. Vote for the guy we tell you to vote for next time. And China is openly saying that they're doing this as punishment to the Taiwanese. So it's not, which I love, because subtle, nuanced bullshit is a Western world thing. The Asian people, they're not going to nuance around it. They're not going to be cutesy with their language. You ask a Chinese dude, a Chinese admiral, why are you doing this? He's not going to go, well, it's just strictly a coincidence. We had planned to do these operations and no, you're not going to get that from a Chinese admiral. You know what you get? We get, they suck, they punished. That's direct and to the point. So we don't even have to, play detective on this one. We know why China is doing it. They're telling the world while they're doing it. This is punitive against Taiwan. So they did some big thing yesterday, the Chinese military, where they were like, demonstrating, well, this is what we can do to you in Taiwan. And they unleashed a new Chinese weapon of war, the robot dog. Okay. Now, I know what you're thinking. I want to show you this. Let me show you the pictures here of the robot dog. The robot dog is exactly. I want you to think in your head right now. I want you to close your eyes and conjure up an image. Do it with me of what a Chinese robot dog would look like. Okay. All right. That image that you've got in your head, that's exactly what it is. It's exactly what it is. It's that. So here, now I'm going to show it to you. I'll show you the robot dog. Google Drive making me lose my spot. Hold on, bear with me. Hurricane, Chinese robot dogs. There we go. I wish there was a video, but I don't think there is a video. I looked earlier today for video of the robot dog moving. Is this going to be the best we're going to be able to do? Robot dog, what? Yeah, we'll do that. All right, here you go. So this is going to be, this is what the Chinese robot dog looks like. And I want you to notice the most badass thing about it. There it is. It's got like a machine gun on its back. Just like from a comedy movie from the 60s or from a cartoon. We're like, yeah, and then wars will be fought with mechanized dogs and they'll have M16s on their back. This robot dog actually has an M16 on his back. Now, I don't know if it like deploys and, like pops out of the back when needed. That would be cool. That we'd see that in the cartoon. I don't know if you can really do that in real life. So this is what it looks like. A little silver. It looks like a dog. It's a silver dog, which I don't really understand this here other than just because let's make a dog and make it look like a dog. Would a dog be the most effective? And here's what I'm thinking. Because of 4 legs, 4 independent moving pegs that you have to balance the heavier part of the robot on. So the dog's gonna have, you would think, I don't know what level of robotics we're at here in 2024, but I don't think we're in Battlestar Galactica phase. So I imagine the robot dog with 4 legs moving will kind of move like a baby horse. It's got, you know what I mean? Is that the most effective way to create shouldn't it be just like this rollerball thing? Isn't it like it could go up hills and stuff? How this dog ain't gonna be able to go down steps. It's gonna be like and it'll just roll down the steps. The gun firing just indiscriminately everywhere. I don't know, it seems stupid. Chinese, I think we give the Chinese way too much credit for stuff. Chinese robot dogs. Wait, are there any pictures? See if there's any closer up pictures of the Chinese robot dog. Oh, okay. What is that? Without its armor? Was that camouflaged? Fuck you. No. You can't just, let's make it camouflage so nobody will see it. What do you mean nobody will see it? Look at that thing. Somebody's going to see it? That's not camouflaged. That's a robot dog. No, there they are in practice, I guess. Look, in a very weird kind of sci-fi, we're looking at the future way, it's kind of cool to have a robot fighting dog with an M16 on its back. That'd be cool. I just don't know if I just don't know if if the scientist who was tasked with creating this mobile weapon, if he'd never seen a dog and nobody ever said, make it a robot dog, nobody ever said that, and he was just left to his own devices to build something that would be the most effective. I don't think it would be that, is my point. Here's the other funny part about it. So these robot dogs are run by a chip, like a conductor chip or something, that is created or built and produced in Taiwan, because Taiwan, remember, they're going to use these dogs against Taiwan, but the chips are created in Taiwan and managed or operated by a company in Finland. And the company in Finland, because of their business tilings with Taiwan, has already said that, yeah, if anything happens, we're just going to turn them dogs off. So it's like they apparently have the power to disable the chips that run the dogs, because China is going to war against the company that just coincidentally makes the chips that control the weapons. Oh my God. See this is what happens with Hillary Clinton. This is what happens with her globalism. Now you can't even have a good war anymore because everybody's so incestuously involved with one another business-wise. All right, let's move on. Let's see here. What else do we have? What else? Other big story. Chinese robot dogs. That's a good one, though. I do like the Chinese robot dog story. NCAA made a huge ruling last night in the late hours, and we woke up this morning to a bunch of people on ESPN going, big deal. The NCAA, they have backed a $2.8 billion settlement to college athletes, setting the stage for current and former athletes to be paid. Whoo, boy. All right. So it's been a slow creep to this, because the current system in the world of social media, where there's a whole bunch of people seeking justice, and now their pursuit of justice can be amplified. You can't get away with the kind of bullshit that you used to be able to get away with. It used to be we were all just programmed to accept shit. Like, that's just the way it's always been. Grandma, why do we keep black people as slaves? Well, that's just because it's always been that way. It's always been a real convenient way. Why do college athletes who make billions of dollars for their schools and their coaches are running around with $100 million contracts? Why do college athletes, break their back in a spring game and then are tossed on the trash? Why do college athletes not get paid like other people who generate such large incomes for their masters, if you will? We've always known that exploiting college athletes was wrong. We just never fucking questioned it, because it's like, well, whatever. That's just how it is. They don't get paid because they're amateurs. And then there was all this bullshit that smarter people said that we went, that's why, because of the integrity of the sport. It's a more pure form of athleticism when they're not getting paid. Fuck you. Your coach has a Bentley. Your coach has a Learjet, you fucker. The president, the highest paid person in most states, and they always release this every year because states are forced to release their public payrolls. The highest paid person in most states isn't the governor. It isn't whoever. I don't know who else it would be, but on the public taxpayer payroll, right? The state highest salaries the state pays. Just about every state in this country, the highest paid state employee is their college's football coach. State college, it's a public university that's funded by the state and run by the state. Highest paid person in Texas is the head football coach at the University of Texas. Promise you that. Maybe some other coach somewhere else in Texas, but that is the reality. So don't tell me that they don't need to be paid. No, maybe they don't need to be paid, but they deserve to be paid. So let's talk about that instead of you trying to turn it into a greed issue, where these greedy ass kids. And then, also let's not forget historically that whenever one of these athletes ran afoul of the situation, maybe they took a job with a local car dealer and then they found out about it and suddenly they have to give back all of their shit. Remember those days? Where were we on the issue then? Oh, they were bad kids, weren't they? Fuck them, demonize them, blah, blah, blah. That's programming. They weren't bad kids. They were kids who were barely making it. And who at the same time could literally see how their hard work and their sacrifices have been economically benefiting all of these other people. college football programs, billion-dollar businesses now because of some players. Became an untenable situation over the last 15 years. This has become such a conversation among sports fans. And because it has been such a consistent conversation now, what with social media and the spreading of ideas and us being able to hear other different ideas, having better ideas of it, this has changed. People are now widely, why am I having trouble talking? People are widely in support of the college athlete now, where I think 10 years ago, most people were like, fuck them, they're kids. Shut up. Stop your programming, dummy. Use your brain. God gave you a brain. Use it. Stop just taking the shortcut by going, I think that college athletes shouldn't get paid because that's what it's always been. And that's just what I've always thought. Stop that. Be better. You're better. You're smarter than that. Now, the other argument has always been, I love this argument too. Well, they're getting a free education. Okay, yeah, great. I'd like to thank Southwest Arkansas School of Design for giving me this great. Not everybody gets a great education. Not every college that gives up scholarships and then uses and exploits the athletes' talents. Not every one of those schools has a college degree that is worth shit, okay? And by the way, also, let's not kid ourselves. College costs too much. So you're inflating the value of the education they're getting based on how crazily priced college has become in the last 30 years. So fuck you. Get an education. The education. Stop it. So the way this whole thing started was with the being big players were able to sell their images and likenesses now, starting a couple of years ago. I forgot, what do they call it? IVL, or whatever it is, which, is going to have major repercussions on the power balances of college football in the years to come. It really is. Because what it allows you to do is, it allows you, if you're a star at a college, you are now allowed to tap into the community around that college for advertising, branding, marketing, appearances, all those kinds of things. And you can make big money. Now, if you are one of the guys being talked about as a Heisman candidate, you don't have to worry about that, whether you're at Mississippi State or, UCLA. Point being, Mississippi State is not going to afford you nearly as many opportunities to make money as a kid who's playing college ball in Los Angeles would. But so if you're a national guy, if you're a big guy, it doesn't matter because the national brands will come after you and you won't be looking to make money off the local sandwich shop or car dealer. You'll be looking for Nike or Adidas deals. So the biggest names will always be able to take, that. But for what about the second string center who needs to make a little bit of money? And the local hot dog stand said that it'll pay him $150 if he comes out on Saturday and signs a few autographs. Why shouldn't that guy be able to do that? And that's kind of what this NIL money thing was. NIL, like image and likeness money. You can charge if people want to use your image and likeness. So that's how it all started. And coincidentally, what also started around that time was the transfer portal. Well, now remember, kids used to go all 4 years to the same college. Hell, they used to go 4 years to the same college. Now it's the transfer portal. Now they just jump between seasons from one college program to another college program. Why have these two things seem to have coincided so wonderfully? Because of exactly what I said. Because a kid who is at Mississippi State in, buttfuck Mississippi with like 5 businesses in it is going to now transfer to, I don't know, UCLA. I mentioned them before. UCLA is going to now transfer to UCLA because he can just simply make more money off playing football at that school than he can. That's why the transfer portal has become such a big thing. Players are moving around for better NIL opportunities. And how is this going to change college football? I said this earlier when we first started this rant. I'll tell you how it's going to change college football. Rutgers is about to become a college football powerhouse. Fucking Rutgers. Why? Because Rutgers is the biggest university right there in the New York City metropolitan area. And if you don't think kids who are college athletes are going to start transferring to play in the New York City media market because they can now make a little money, you're nuts. Oh, you think they're going to stay in College Station? No way. They're moving to sunny suburban New Jersey so that they can get some of that New York City NIL money. Anyway, that's going to start happening. We're going to start seeing that. We're going to start seeing programs rise up that have been dormant for a long time. Another one that I look at that I go, interesting, is Northwestern. Northwestern in Chicago, which has forever been, we're smart here. We don't care so much about football. We're very smart. They've always been that. That could change. You know what else is going to change? I'm on the campus. SMU. SMU is going to benefit from the transfer portal. Why? Because it's Dallas. Because they're in the middle of Market 4. I mean, I'm sorry, but if you're Oklahoma State and you're competing for the same kid as SMU, that kid's going to take SMU now because there's just more money in the Dallas market than there is. So that's what's been happening in college football. And I'm for it. I am for these players getting their money because there is no guarantee that, one, they're going to get a job out of college because, this economy sucks, or two, that they're going to have any kind of career as a professional athlete. So if you've got a program that's making a couple of $1 billion a year off of your wideout, or maybe not exclusively because of your wideout, I just think that fair is fair, justice being what it is, pay that kid. Pay that kid. And what are we supposed to pay him? I don't know, fuck stick. Whatever the market will bear. Market value. Stop being upset that a 19-year-old kid who runs a 4.3 40 and can catch like flypaper, stop being angry that he's being able to take advantage of his talents. Stop. If he was 15 and cute, he could be in a boy band making $200 million a year like Harry Styles. But he's not. He's a wideout. Let him make his money. Stop being a bitch about it. Thank you. So here's what's happening now. That's the past. That's been the last 5 years of NCAA football and all these machinations and changes and all that stuff. So here's what happened last night. The NCAA and the nation's 5 biggest conferences announced Thursday night that they have agreed to pay nearly $2.8 billion to settle a host of antitrust claims. A monumental decision that sets the stage for groundbreaking revenue-sharing models that could start steering millions of dollars directly to athletes as soon as the 2025 fall semester. Long story short, this ruling is now going to allow colleges to pay their players directly. A thing that used to get, look at what campus I'm on. I'm on the campus of SMU. SMU got the death penalty. SMU was one of the best college football programs in college football for years, but they paid their players. And so they got the death penalty, and then SMU, went in the toilet for 2 decades. They're back now. What a surprise, the reemergence of SMU these last couple of years, coinciding with the transfer portal and NIL money. What a surprise. They killed SMU football for decades, destroying the program that had to be built up again. They killed the SMU program for something that last night they decided that's going to be legal now. We're going to make that. That's fine. Hey, SMU, sorry about that. So, hey, SMU booster who blew your head off right there underneath the tollway on Lover's Lane back in 1984. Sorry, our bad. Because it's totally okay now. Yeah, there was a lot of bad shit that went down with the death penalty that was handed to SMU. People died. People killed themselves. And now it's fine. Now it's fine. Sorry, we were wrong. You were right. It really wasn't that big of a deal. NCAA President Charlie Baker, along with the commissioners of the Atlantic Coast, the Big Ten, the Big 12, the Pac-12, and the Southeastern Conference, released a joint statement saying that they had agreed to settlement terms. They call the move an important step in the continuing reform of college sports. Yeah. And what is the reform of college sports? It's no longer just taking a bunch of poor kids from the deep South, milking all you can out of them, and then throwing them in the fucking trash heap as you ride off into the sunset in your convertible Bentley. That's the reform of college football. Good job. Good job. Well, how is this going to change when, the players are making money in college? I'll tell you one thing, how it's going to change. One, your favorite pro football team, when it drafts that rookie, you're going to have less of a concern about that rookie being an asshole now that he's suddenly gotten money. Rookies are going to be young kids with money are now going to be assholes back in college. So we're going to know all about their character defects long before your team wastes the first rounder on them. Hey, you always got to look for a bright side. That's a bright side. You're going to find out who the assholes are who aren't going to be able to handle stardom and money. Let's see here. Barney says name and image likeness. Yeah, I know. That's what I was trying to do. Frank says college football in Texas is a separate business from the universities. UT and A&M could reduce tuition, but they don't. Jeff says, finally, they figured out the NIL for video games. Can't wait for NCAA football 25. I don't know what any of that means. It's all very confusing. All right, let's go on. Here we go. Some big controversy happening with Google. Have you been on Google lately? Have you tried the new Google? Here, Google's got a new feature. And I don't know what it exactly says. There's like a text little bubble that pops down. But here's how I hear it. This is what I read when I see it. Hey, you fat fuck. Are you too lazy to actually finish this sentence? I'll finish it for you. It's like an AI-driven thing where you don't even have to use your brain anymore to think about what you want to say here. AI is just going to do it for you. It's a new thing that Google has rolled out. But they're getting kind of slammed because apparently the Google AI gives bad advice. Not only gives bad advice, but gives weird advice. Like the one thing that's come up now that and by the way, I think they've pulled it. They've made some changes. I don't know. You can just Google the story. It's funny. But one of the big problems was that for some reason, the Google AI advice kept telling people to drink their own urine. Like drink your own for like every. I guess they say they like initially started because if you have really bad kidney stones, one of the holistic remedies for kidney stones is to drink your own urine. I don't know what that is, but whatever. It sounds gross. But apparently Google AI is suggesting people do that for any manner of things. Got a sore throat? Drink some piss. Sprained your ankle? Drink some piss. So yeah, we're working the bugs out with AI. So no AI, I don't want you to finish this post. I don't want you to finish this. No, thank you. Another problem with AI, check out this bullshit. This is just, this is the arrogance of the tech billionaire. This is insane. Are you guys following what's happening with Scarlett Johansson? Scarlett Johansson, look, I love Scarlett Johansson. I think she's badass. And the very fact that she married Colin Jost suggests to me that she's really badass, that she's legit. She's a legit cool chick. She's not like, if she was like running around with the kind of people that like Britney Spears dates, you know what I mean? I'd be like, But no, Scarlett Johansson seems to like a quality, good, smart, educated, seemingly decent dude. Colin Jost is a good dude. Scarlett Johansson got people like, why is she with him? I'm like, why would she be with she should be with, I don't know, Jason Momoa. Whatever. I think it speaks highly of Scarlett Johansson that she's with Colin Jost. And by the way, as I've heard from other women, what the fuck are you talking about? He might be prettier as a man than she is as a woman, which is what some girls. I got a female friend who just thinks Colin Jost is like the cutest and most adorable thing ever. But whatever, we'll move on. So Scarlett Johansson has been in this or I should say her agency, CAA, Creative Artists Agency, who represents her. Remember she did a movie a couple of years ago where she was an AI girlfriend? I think was it called Her or She or something? I don't know. I didn't see it. Looked terribly boring. And I'm like, you got to go see the new Scarlett Johansson movie? And I'm like, yeah, I'll see anything that Scarlett Johansson is in. Oh, about that. It's just her voice. No, I'm going to pass. I'm going to pass. You man, I don't even get to see her. It's not a Scarlett Johansson movie if I don't get to look into those beautiful eyes. I do. I like Scarlett Johansson. I think she's great. So she did this movie where it was an AI thing. I think it was Joaquin Phoenix. He was a loser dude who fell in love with his like Alexa, right? And she was the voice. And so whatever. So now they're doing these AI voice things. And here, let me get this guy's name. Because all these AI, Sam Altman, who's like, he's not the Bankman guy. Like he's not. Is it so? So there's a Bitcoin con man named Sam Bankman, and then the guy who's like going to be the Thomas Edison of AI, Seriously, this guy, Sam Altman, I think he's going to be one of these historical dudes that, remember, just think about 1997 when someone mentioned Elon Musk to you. You were like, who's that? Never heard of that. And I think that's who this Sam Altman dude is. He's one of these scary, emerging, powerful guys behind AI and what AI is going to eventually end up doing. All right, so here's the story. So it's Scarlett Johansson versus this guy. Scarlett Johansson's powerful Hollywood agent, Brian Lord, wanted answers when he made an urgent call to Sam Altman last week. His simple question was, what the fuck do you think you're doing? Altman's artificial intelligence powerhouse, OpenAI, had for months unsuccessfully courted Scarlett Johansson, who memorably voiced an AI assistant in the 2013 film Her. Last September, so we're going back to last September. So you get this? So this dude, OpenAI dude, for the last year, he's been like, yeah, we want to work with Scarlett. Can Scarlett do the voice? We want Scarlett to do the voice for this because, it'd be cool because she did it in that movie. Can Scarlett do the voice? So last September, they all got together and Scarlett Johansson said, yeah, no, I don't want to do this. This is kind of creepy and I don't want you using my voice for this. And I'm out. We're done. Nice talking to you about it. And everybody shook hands. It was probably a nice dinner and they went their separate ways. So that was back in September. Altman, however, didn't give up. In mid-May, this is mid-May, so this is just a couple weeks ago. A week ago. It's mid-May now still. So a couple weeks ago, OpenAI showcased an updated AI system equipped with a new voice. They couldn't get Scarlett. So they went with a new voice and this different voice. We go, Scarlett, you're not going to do it? Okay. All right. Well, Scarlett wouldn't do it. So we just came up with this random voice. Hope you enjoy it. Do you know where this is going? Yeah, the voice is Scarlett Johansson's voice anyway. They figured out a way to make a fake Scarlett Johansson voice because the real Scarlett Johansson was like, yeah, I don't want to do that. That's creepy. I don't want my voice associated with that. So this super powerful AI guy who I'm telling you, man, 20 years from now, he's going to be like Musk. He's going to be one of these names, one of these titans of American trillion. He's probably going to be the first trillionaire. That's why he'll be famous. Sam Bankman will be the first trillionaire. Then on May 13th, they showcased an updated AI system equipped with a new voice. Johansson, so the new voice was a female assistant named Sky. So Sky is the OpenAI female voice. They wanted it to be Scarlett. They were going to pay Scarlett to have it and have her do the voice. But no, instead, they just said, okay, no problem, Scarlett. We're creating Sky. Johansson, upon hearing Sky, was surprised and angry. She and Lord thought, and most others agree, that Sky's voice sounded exactly like her own. Lord and the actress, that's her agent, Lord and the actress spent the morning fielding calls and emails from friends and associates, some of whom worried that OpenAI had simply appropriated Johansson's voice without permission. When Lord confronted Altman, however, the OpenAI chief executive was incredulous. So when he gets confronted on it, remember, this is a guy who I keep telling you, just remember 20 years from now, first trillionaire is going to be this AI guy, Sam Bankman. So this is how cocky and how fucking awful he already is. Imagine when he's the world's first trillionaire. So Scarlett Johansson's people call him and go, what the fuck, man? We just heard your thing. And the response was essentially, what do you mean? What's wrong? To which her agent had to go, it's Scarlett's voice. You're just using Scarlett's voice anyway. His response was incredulous. And here's the quote. Did you really think it sounded like her? Wow, that was weird. Was she mad? His next question was she mad? Fuck! This is going to be the world's first trillionaire. We're going to have to deal with this guy over the next 20 years. Jesus. Anyway, this is what Scarlett Johansson is going through. So keep a good thought. Keep a good thought. I mean, just the nerve. They absolutely should. No, I'm uncomfortable with this. I don't want my voice being associated with this. It's cool, though. I wish you luck with it. Okay, you guys have a good one. And then they come up with a voice that's her voice. Sounds exactly like it. And it's called Sky. And then when they're called on it, they're like, "What? What are you talking about?" You think so? By the way, was she mad? Did it piss her off? Did it fucking make her mad for turning us down? Did it? Anyway, that's the world we live in. These people are monsters. I mean, again, I keep telling you, this guy, remember, he's going to be the world's first trillionaire. This AI dude. First trillionaire. And this is how he's acting already. All right. What else do we have? Here's a sad one. This is a sad one. This, sometimes, not that I care all that much, but this is the kind of thing where you're just flipping through the news in the morning and all of a sudden something pops up and you just, for a minute, you're like, oh, fuck, that sucks. Morgan Spurlock has died. Morgan Spurlock. Morgan Spurlock was a really fun, non-divisive, started out as an MTV VJ. You remember, he was on MTV for a while. He was a documentary filmmaker, and he made, his most famous one was Super Size Me, which, by the way, you want to talk about, when you make a documentary film, it is to shine a light on a subject that you don't think is being given the proper attention and to illuminate those who are witnessing this for the first time to possibly make changes or get involved or whatever. That's sort of the purpose of documentary filmmaking, which is different than the purpose of dramatic or comedic filmmaking, which is simply just to entertain. So he made Super Size Me, and you realize that after he made, what was Super Size Me? Remember that? I think it was like 2000 or something. He made a documentary where for like a month, was it more than a month? I don't know. For like a month, he did nothing but eat McDonald's food. He ate McDonald's food, and he basically tracked over the course of a month his medical, like where was his sodium at when he started? Where was it at when he was done? His weight, his, all of this stuff. And it was really fascinating. I haven't seen it in 23 years, but I suspect I'll probably see it again. Since Morgan Spurlock died, 53 years old. Apparently, he'd been suffering from cancer. But what he did with that documentary that was truly good on him, man. And I don't know, but his idea was to shine a light on how poorly we eat. And we eat poorly. Americans eat poorly. Sorry. It's just the benefit of being as wealthy and rich. We don't eat fresh food and vegetables because we don't have to. Because we're successful enough where there are stores with canned shit that tastes better than if we were just pulling rutabagas out of the ground in our backyard and eating those. So anyway, we're not that healthy as far as the things we eat. And he was trying to shine a light on that. And the movie was such a phenomenon that McDonald's got rid of their supersized menu because of it. Yeah. Do you remember? There ain't no supersized menu anymore. McDonald's got rid of their supersized menu. And not only that, that's when McDonald's started introducing chicken wraps and salads and a fresher menu. And now McDonald's is almost completely dedicated to the concept of fresher foods. They've got this new spinoff, McLT's or Mc whatever it's called, McQ, I don't know, whatever it is, that sort of healthier place. So, man, that Morgan Spurlock made that documentary, and it actually did what documentaries are supposed to do. It enacted change. It shamed McDonald's into going, yeah, our food is kind of bad for you. We should probably offer something healthy. And that's what happened. He did a whole bunch of other things, I don't really know what else nothing else comes to mind. But every time you saw him in an interview or anytime I saw him, he seemed like a good dude. I think I might have met him. I don't know. Over there, I was trying to think of that. I'm like, did I meet him? Was he? I think there was a party at the Chicago Film Festival for a media party, like in 1998 or something. And I think he might have been there, and I think I might have met him. I don't know. I was drunk. Point is this: he's dead, and he seemed like a good guy. And Super Size Me was a good film, and it was successful for the purposes that he made it. So good for him. Barney says that AI is going to be something someday, but now it's just Clippy with ScarJo voice. Yeah, well, that's certainly how it is for us. That's how it is for us, the casual user who will use it as entertainment. But it's not something for tomorrow. It is something for today. It is happening right now. AI is being used all across the world in ways that we regular folks like Barney and me, we can't even contemplate. I'll give you one example. The Washington Post is going complete AI driven on their stories. That means they're just going to fire all their writers and all their journalists. They'll keep a couple around to push the buttons and all of that. But that's something that was announced yesterday. So it's not a thing of tomorrow. And yeah, for us, it's just clippy cuts with bad ScarJo voices. But no, it's doing everything. It's doing everything from, I don't know. I'm not smart enough. All I know is that it's real. It's already taking over all of these industries. And yes, we have not adopted it yet in our everyday life as a means of entertainment, but it's coming. That's the one that's coming. But as far as people making billions and billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars already off of it, yeah, it's already there. It's established itself. It's too late. Like, it's too late. Like, for regular people to go, oh my God, I hear there's gold in them there AI hills. I'm going to get involved in AI now. I'm going to be in there early. Early was 15 years ago, fuckstick. It's over with. All the rich guys are already, they got their positions sewn up. There's no room for the little guy and, AI. It's scary because I don't understand it at all, Barney. I don't like it. I don't like it. But then again, I'm a carbon-based human being who considers himself kind of clever, semi-creative. I like to, think of things and make them out of nothing. That's so AI is a real threat to anybody who sort of enjoys that aspect of life. Like right now, wasn't there a song that was, I think there was like a song that was completely AI created like a few months back. It's like, this song was just no musicians, no artists, just AI. They created it. And I remember the song was, everybody's like, that song's terrible. I hate that song. And I remember listening to it going, ooh, here's the scariest part. The scariest part is that this song isn't terrible. Scariest part is this song sounds like every other piece of fucking crap that I hear on like Kiss FM or whatever. I don't know what you're talking about. This thing is horrible. And why is that scary? It's scary because if for someone like me can objectively in my quieter moments go, yeah, this is as good as Harry Styles. I know I've used him twice now. This is as good as Drake. I don't know. I don't know much about modern pop music, but it sounded very generic and it sounded very passable. And that's scary. That's scary because, if you're an artist, you should be scared shitless about that. Anyway, there you have it. AI and Morgan Spurlock. The two aren't really related, but all right. Now, the last thing we're going to do here today, I want to talk about this list here. We'll go through it. We'll make fun of it because that's what we do here. I don't even know. I saw the story and I clicked on it and I saved it because I wanted to be surprised with you. So I wanted to see this. I knew what it was. It's this year's list of America's most trusted news anchors. Most trusted people in the media who are supposed to be giving us their news. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you as these names come up, I'm going to give you the ones who were voted the best and the worst. I'm going to tell you what's wrong with them, or maybe not. I'll just tell you if I agree or not. The Hollywood Reporter does this every year. And let's see, this year, what is it? For those ever fewer media gatekeepers who have major reach, trust is currency, and there's still a halo effect for those TV stars with broadcast viewership. Example, network TV hosts, evening and morning show news anchors, NBC and ABC, show strongly in the polls. This survey, conducted May 5th through 5th among a sample of 3,000 U.S. adults, asked opinions. So 3,000 U.S. adults were phoned nationwide and asked opinions about 40 plus major TV news stars, as well as they were surveyed on trends about America's media and all that stuff. So anyway, these are the winners. Hollywood Reporter, they do this every year. The first question, actually, here's some of the survey questions we'll go through first before we get to the actual names. The first question was, how much do you trust nightly news anchors? Okay. Lester Holt came in at number one. These are of the network news anchors. So that's what? Nora O'Donnell, Dave Muir, and Lester Holt. Lester Holt of NBC News came in number one. 65% of Americans named Lester Holt as the network news anchor that they trust most. Lester Holt. David Muir of ABC News came in second, and Nora O'Donnell came in last with 53%. Lester Holt had 65, David Muir had 63, and Nora O'Donnell had 53%. Morning stars. Okay, these are the network morning stars by popularity. Okay, who is the most popular of all the network morning stars? Well, that's Al Roker. You know this hurts me. He's a weatherman. He's a professional con man. And he is the most trusted person in all of network morning news TV. Al Roker wins that with 64%. Robin Roberts, 63%. What? All right, I take that back. Apparently, it's a tie. It's Robin Roberts and Al Roker both have 64%. Robin Roberts of Michael Strahan has 62%. Okay, so that's what it is. The least popular is Gayle King. Gayle King of CBS News at 53%. Oh, that's what this. Okay, so it's a rundown. So the most popular are in order. Al Roker is the most popular. He's with NBC. Robin Roberts is the second most popular. She's with ABC. Michael Strahan is the third most popular. The third most popular person giving people the news in the morning is a former football player, a big smiling gap tooth, Michael Strahan. Then next we have Savannah Guthrie of NBC News. She has 59%. And then lastly, bringing up the rear, and rightfully so, is Gayle King of CBS News. Only 53% of people trust Gayle King. The next question, how much do you trust cable news's big three? So we're talking about, what are we talking about here? Let me see this. Oh, okay, this is interesting. All right. So the winner of who is trusted the most of the primetime cable news people, and it's not even close, you guys. It's not even close. It's like a walk away. Now, this isn't the most popular. This isn't the one you think is most entertainment, who really gets you going with the things he says. No, these are the fuckers who give the news that people actually trust. And I have to agree with this. This is, of these three people who are mentioned, he's the one that if something big was happening, I'd be like, what does Anderson Cooper have to say? Anderson Cooper in a rout, 64% of Americans, when asked who they trust most, said that it was Anderson Cooper of CNN. 51% of Americans said Rachel Maddow of MSNBC. And a paltry 38%, only 38% of Americans trust Sean Hannity. And that makes sense. Honestly, that number for Rachel Maddow should be a lot less than 51% because she's obviously biased. The one who's least biased of all of them is Anderson Cooper, the one who acts the most like somebody who's just going through the news and trying to figure it out like the rest of us is Anderson Cooper. Sean Hannity shows up every night telling you what's wrong with everything and how he'd do it better. That's Sean Hannity's gig. Of course, you're not going to trust that guy. Rachel Maddow does the exact same thing from a female lefty lesbian point of view. But they're doing the same act, Rachel Maddow and Sean Hannity. Anderson Cooper's not. Why Anderson Cooper's ratings are the worst of all of them, because he's the most boring, because he's not trying to be the most, look at me. I don't even, look, and again, the Pugs loves Anderson Cooper now. Why? Because I said I prefer him of those three? Fuck you. Stop it. I'm not an absolutist. I don't love Anderson Cooper, but yeah, in that company of those three, who would I trust the most to tell me if my, oh, we got your blood work back. Which one do I want to hear that from? Sean Hannity, Rachel Maddow, or fucking Anderson Cooper? I'm going with Anderson Cooper. Anderson Cooper, tell me about my blood work. I trust you the most. All right, morning. Let's see, what is this? How much do you trust the outsiders? Okay, so these are people who used to be big time television network or cable news folks who've been, I don't know, canceled or kicked out. You'll know once I get these names. So how much do you trust the outsiders? And these are people like Megyn Kelly, Chris Cuomo, Don Lemon, Tucker Carlson, right? So of those people who are now doing their own thing on the outside, who do you trust most? And holy shit, the winner is Don Lemon. Oh my God, Don Lemon. 44% of Americans, when asked of these people, who do you trust the most? 44% said Dandy Don Lemon. Oh, is that guy a con man? Holy cow. He's one of those high school drama club guys who learned once he got into college with a bunch of other talented people that he wasn't really that good at acting, but he still wanted to be famous. So he went to journalism. I went to a journalism school. There's a shit ton of people in journalism school who were just failed actors, who didn't have the chops to do Shakespeare. So instead, they're just going to look good on camera and pretend to be serious. Don Lemon wins this with 44%. Chris Cuomo comes in second with 43%. Megyn Kelly at 40%. And Tucker Carlson, thankfully, bringing up the rear. Only 35% of people, when polled, trust Tucker Carlson. They're like, yeah, he's fun. No, I watch him every night. He's great. I don't believe shit he says. No, he's a lying sack of shit. But he is funny. He's funny, and he gets me going. It's kind of what they're saying about. By the way, I watched recently Megyn Kelly. I don't know what the hell ever happened to Megyn Kelly. She was on Fox News, and then she was gone, and now she's like, I don't know, was she on Rumble? Was she got a Twitch stream? You know? Whatever it is, she's out there doing something, I guess. And I saw a clip, and she was interviewing somebody. I don't know who it was that she was interviewing. I was watching in this clip, but gotta tell you, still so gorgeous. Yes. There's a case to be made that Megyn Kelly is the sexiest woman ever on television. Television news, right? Of course, Charlie's Angels was a show. But Megyn Kelly, television newswoman, you know, they've been tarting up television newswomen for years. They've been, can you unbutton that top button, baby? No, they'll still take you seriously. Yeah. But of the era of the hot news cougar, yeah, I think Megyn Kelly is still the most beautiful. And there's good competition for that. There's like a lot of hot news cougars out there. All right, what else do we have here? So of the outsiders, what about secret weapons? Oh, geez, these are people who are, I don't care about this. Who cares about secret weapons? Chris Wallace wins with 65% of people trust Chris Wallace. How much do you trust? Jon Stewart. 57% of people said they trust Jon Stewart. All right, here's the networks. How much do you trust the networks? How much do you trust these media sources? Choices are a lot or some, not much, not at all, don't know, no opinion, which always drives me nuts in these polls. You don't have opinion? Really? I don't know. Just say you don't know. But to say you don't have opinion is to tell me that you are a fucking lazy mind. I'm telling you what these things are. Any thoughts? What's your opinion on that? I ain't got one. Really? You ain't got one? Okay. You really don't want to be stopped talking to me in the middle of the mall, do you? Network News has 76 network news. That is wild. 76% of people say that they trust network news. That's the news that comes on at 5:30 Central Time. And that's it. That's the only time it comes on. Well, also, I guess, you know, they have special breaking news. Network news wins. Cable news. 70% of people say that they like cable, that they trust. Trust, not like. Trust cable news. 76% of people say they trust network news. 70% of people say they trust cable news. 60% say they trust social media. 60% of people say that they trust the news on social media. 60%, more than half of us. Holy cow. I mean, Jesus. Now, in fairness, I guess it depends on the source, social media being the apparatus to distribute the story. What is the source? If it's a trusted source, that's different. But if it's just like some news company that you've never heard of before that's suddenly showing up on your Facebook timeline, if you actually think that's going to be real, you're nuts. 60% of people are like, yeah, no, that's fine with me. I read it. It was on Facebook, so that's good, right? Facebook, they wouldn't allow something stupid. What else do we have here? And most popular by network. Oh, this ain't good for CNN. This is not good for CNN. These are the most, this is the list of most trusted people at CNN. This is what the poll revealed. Number 1 is Chris Wallace. Chris Wallace with 60% is the most trusted person at CNN, a dude that CNN will not give a show to that isn't like, you know, accessible on your phone. Chris Wallace is an albatross. All right, CNN doesn't know what to do with Chris Wallace. So they farmed him off onto this podcast series where it's the Chris Wallace interview, where he interviews people. And then during like regular CNN news, occasionally they'll show you a clip from a Chris Wallace interview and then tell you to go to some .com or to download the app or something like that. But that's who that's who the people at CNN think of Chris Wallace. Not important. Someone we pay a lot of money because he's got a fancy name and that makes us look good, but he ain't important to us around here. Yeah, well, he should be because he's the most trusted person at CNN. Number 2 is Anderson Cooper. I can see that. Number 3 is Aaron Burnett. I can see that. I don't mind Aaron Burnett. Number 4 is Wolf Blitzer. Get the fuck. Are you kidding? I do not. Wolf Blitzer is a dork. That guy. And moving on. Number 5 is Jake Tapper. Jake Tapper? Jake Tapper is one of the worst. He comes in. Jake Tapper is the 5th most trusted person. And then it just devolves into just people who aren't as high profile. And that's probably why they've got such low ratings. But like Laura Coates, I think Laura Coates is great. She used to be just a lawyer who was an expert who was brought on to talk about legal issues. Now she's like the host at 9 o'clock. She's like who they replaced Don Lemon with. I think Laura Coates is great. John King. I think John King is great. Abby Phillips. Don't really know much about Abby Phillips. Caitlin Collins. Boy, oh boy, she's coming at the bottom. Caitlin Collins and Kate Baldwin. 2 women coming in at the bottom, least trusted at CNN, which is just Caitlin Collins. I understand because Caitlin Collins she's got a sketchy background. People don't trust her. She's the Trump people hate her because she's been very, anti-Trump, and she covered the Trump White House and she asked a lot of tough questions. And, remember she had a lot of fake news. She had to go through a lot of that. Her and Acosta took a beating during the Trump years. So I can understand why Caitlin Collins would be this far down. What I don't understand is Kate Baldwin. Kate Baldwin being number 10. Kate Baldwin is wonderful. Kate Baldwin and Brianna Keeler are like my 2 favorite people at CNN. They just seem so nice and unbiased, and they have a little bit of an edge to them. They're also attractive ladies, but they're not like obvious sex bombs like Megyn Kelly. They're attractive ladies. So it's not about that. I just like them. I just think they're good. Fox News. Most trusted at Fox News with 53% is Harris Faulkner. Then Greg Gutfield, then Dana Perino, then Shannon Breen. Aisley Earnhardt, Brett Baird, Martha McCallum, Brian Kilmeade, and Steve Doocy is the least trusted at Fox News. The reason I just skip over that is because I don't watch Fox News. I don't know who any of those people are. I'm not going to watch something that is obviously going to give me propaganda for a political party that I don't believe in. It's the same reason we're going to gloss over MSNBC. I don't know anything about MSNBC. Oh, no, I'm sorry. The least trusted person at Fox News it's a tie between Laura Ingraham and Sean Hannity. And then almost a 3-way tie is Jesse Waters at the very bottom. Only 29% trust Sean Hannity. And yet they make him like the most watched guy on the network. So MSNBC, the most trusted is Ali Valeschi. Then you got Andrea Mitchell. Then you got Katie Tour. The number 4 most trusted person at MSNBC is Rachel Maddow. Then you got your Chris Hayes, Stephanie Rule. Stephanie Rule's the one I like. I like her. She's kind of like a hot, sexy cougar. She wears glasses and has bedhead all the time. I don't know. I think I like her. She's got, there's something sexy about Stephanie Rule to me. I can't put my finger on it, but if she's on, I'll look at her. Oh, here's what I like what she does. She does this. She's very performative. Look at me. I just pulled off my thing. I just pulled off my thing. That's what she said. Let's see if I can get this. This is going to have to just be a temporary thing. All right, hold on. I'll fix it for real. Hold on. Are we back? All right, very good. What was I talking about? I was talking about Stephanie Rule. Oh yeah, what she does. Here's what she does. She does this. She's like very performative, and she's like, she'll get, oh my God, oh, you're so interesting. But here's my question for you. Like she does that with her glass. Oh, you couldn't see it. Here's my question for you. I love when she does that. She does that, and she knows what she's doing too. Stephanie Rule. Anyway, not trusted. Not very trusted. I'm done with this story. I am bored with this story. Frank says Dana Perina came to Grapevine and is a big dog lover. What does that say? That again, Frank, I love you, dude, but your random fun facts, they're like the best thing. They're the thing of all the things that I love about Frank. It is the random fun facts. Dana Perino came to Grapevine and she loves dogs. I appreciate a mind that works that way. That's how Frank's mind works. It's pretty awesome. James says Gorilla Tape will fix my mic. No, it's fixed. James says Gorilla Tape will fix it. If women can't find you handsome, at least they'll find you handy. Yeah, there's other ways to be handy, though, than being able to fix something. Like being able to just, without even thinking about it, pay an expert to come and fix it. That's a degree of handy that I'd rather be. I'd rather be to the degree, I'd rather women be turned on than I can just, call somebody. I can't fix things. I'm not good. I'm not mechanical. I never have been. I'm not good at anything. You know what I'm good at? Mini golf. I've told you that many times. I'm good at mini golf. I also think I would be really good at bass fishing, like pro bass fishing. Never have, never been, but I think that I would be like the Tiger Woods of it. When I think of like, I wonder if I just have, the reason I'm so like useless, I wonder if my talents, because I think we've all got something. But what if my talent is just something that due to where I was born or how I was raised, I would never, ever come across? Like, what if I'm the world's greatest log roller? Like, what if I'm just like, what if at some point now in the next year, I get an opportunity to try log rolling, and everybody who's there at the log rolling festival that I've for some reason decided to attend, everybody there is like, oh my God, did you see that guy? He came out of the crowd and he log rolled 2 10x15s to a quasi macanudo like nobody ever. Like they're using log rolling terms that I don't know. And I'm just out there going log rolling and I'm doing things with my hands. He's the greatest. And then I'm on like Time magazine. Where'd he come from? And they're like, first pick in the log rolling draft. And it's me. Okay, I know that log rolling isn't a thing. I did a rod. I already like Huskies. What if I'm really good at driving a sled dog? And I never got to learn that. How did I start thinking about this? Oh, because I'm not handy. That's one of my talents. One of the things that I do know is that I am not handy. I know that I'm not handy. I know that I can't throw a 103 mile an hour fastball with my left hand. I know I don't have that talent. I can't do voices. Not particularly good with numbers. Mini golf. Good at mini golf. I guess I'm just going to have to go with that. And asteroids. When I was very young, when I was like 12 or 13, I was very good at asteroids, like better than everybody else, like to the point where I had to act like I was totally cool and no big deal. But inside in my head, I was like, I am fucking way better than these people at asteroids. I was good at asteroids. Here's a fun fact about asteroids. I played it about 10 years ago. But 10 years ago, for the first time, I stopped. Here's what happened with my being so great at asteroids. So I won a competition at this arcade by my house. It was called Number One Fun. And then because I won the competition, they had me come back like the next Saturday. And it was like the Cook County Finals. And I won. Like, got a ribbon and stuff. It was a stupid nothing stupid thing. You know, it wasn't even an official thing. But I still won. I was there and I won. I beat everybody else. So I felt it was really good. But then all of a sudden there's this Pac-Man, and all of a sudden there's this Donkey Kong, and everybody's playing all these other games, and nobody's paying attention to asteroids anymore. And I'm still playing asteroids because I think I could get even better. And everybody moved on. And at that point, I refused to play anything else. I was like, no, I'm not going to. I'm just going to play Asteroids. And defiantly for the next 5 years, whenever you go to the arcade with friends, I would just go play Asteroids. Never learned Pac-Man, never learned Donkey Kong. I mean, I've played them to some degree. I've tried them, but nope. And then once video games just got so nuts, I realized on some level that I would never be able to reclaim the glory that I felt as the greatest Asteroids player at number one fun. I recognized that I was never going to get back there. You can't go home, Johnny. You can't go home. That's what I learned. So you know what I did instead? Decided that I would never play video games again. And I stopped for like 15 years. Never played video. You know, I've never, to this day, I've never played Nintendo. You know, I've never played it. And I went to parties in the 90s and the late 80s where every party was like, there was a whole bunch of people playing Nintendo for hours and hours. Nope, not me. Never played it. Want to play Nintendo? I don't play Nintendo. What? What do you mean you don't play Nintendo? I swore years ago I'd never play video games again. You know what got me back? You know what got me back to playing video games? Rockstar Games. If you remember the old Pugs and Kelly show, Rockstar Games spent a whole bunch of money on our show. And it was a deal where they would come in and they would debut new games like a bunch of the grand, like I got to play live on the air one of the Grand Theft Auto games first, like before anybody else anywhere. It was like being debuted later that night, and they brought it by, and so we got to play that. Red Dead Redemption. I played that game, Red Dead Redemption, before anybody else. They brought it in. They were debuting it, and they came by our studios. Apparently, a lot of these things were debuted in Dallas for whatever reason. Anyway, it was because of that. It was because of the Rockstar Games people and the fact that they were paying me that I started to play video games again. And guess what happened? I got very good at Grand Theft Auto. Got very good. Very good at Grand Theft Auto. Vice City, I think is what it was. One of the versions. It was the Vice City. I got very good at Grand Theft Auto. Made it all the way to the drug dealer. Killed the drug dealer. Stole his helicopter. Couldn't get the helicopter to lift off. Like, I finished the game and I got to the stealing the helicopter, and then I quit. I went, I can't figure this fucking out. I've gotten this far, and I quit. And I haven't really played any games since then. So I don't play games because of Asteroids. Do you know how nuts I was with Asteroids? You want to hear a fun fact about one of the ways that I learned to master Asteroids? Do you remember hyperspace? Hyperspace was an option in the game of Asteroids where you would hit a button if you were ever in trouble and there were too many asteroids closing in and there was no way for you to get out of there. First of all, don't thrust. Never thrust. People are like, oh, I'm just thrusting around. Don't fucking ever hit thrust. Hit hyperspace, and then you can use thrust to get back into a good position in the middle of the board, but do not just start thrusting around. That's how you're going to die. Here's how nuts I was with Asteroids. I had figured out, because I had played it so much, I had figured out that there was a pattern to the hyperspace. Depending on where they put you in hyperspace first, like wherever you went, like if you hit, it wasn't random. It was not random. So if you hit hyperspace and you appeared somewhere, I figured out that the next time I hit hyperspace, there was a 50-50 chance that I was going to end up either at the top or at the bottom, but in this location. So that's how I was able to get good. I was able to, because I could always hit hyperspace at the last minute and know that I'm have a good idea of where I'm probably going to show up. I loved Asteroids. Won't play it anymore though. I get obsessive. That's another thing about me in video games, why I'm not a video game guy. I get obsessive. I have an addictive personality. If there's something that I really like, I will just completely do that and only that. Case in point, like 2 weeks ago, I discovered this kind of, have you guys ever had Marie Callender's chili? It's this chili that Marie Callender's sells at the grocery store, and it's canned. It's just like Wolf brand, but for some reason it's really good. I've been eating nothing but Marie Callender's chili for like 2 weeks. I have an obsessive personality. If I like something, that's pretty much I'm going to. And I know that as an adult, I probably shouldn't get back into video games because unfortunately it would just take up all of my time. I remember when I was married and we were doing the Grand Theft Auto thing because Rockstar Games had become an advertiser on our show. I remember it was like 4:30 in the morning on like a Tuesday morning, and I'm sitting in the living room and I still got to go to bed and wake up and do a radio show in the morning. And I'm just like, it's obsessive. It's obsessive. Cocaine. Same thing with cocaine. I did cocaine like a couple of times, and it was just over like a period of like a couple of weeks when I was just spending time with a particular person. But I was like, I was smart enough to know me and know, and I'm like, yeah, cocaine, I really like this. This is a really good high. This is fun. This is gonna kill me. So never did it again. I was just like, nope, just like video games. Nah, I've done it. I know it. I understand it. No, not something that I need in my life. Video games are like that. And now I don't play them. So look, people can change. Now, granted, I haven't changed any of the important things that I really should change about myself. But yeah, as far as, addicted to video games. I'm out of show, guys. Are you out of show? I think we're both out of show together. Frank says, just randomly, Frank's just shouting out, Guitar Hero! Never mentioned Guitar Hero. Just talked like 20 minutes about all kinds of video games. Never mentioned Guitar Hero, but Frank's just like, I love Frank. Frankie says, take your kid to the National Video Game Museum in Frisco. Beat him at Asteroids. Frankie, that's another great. Earlier today, Frankie blew my mind with the whole funerals are for the living. Now Frankie's blowing my mind again. There's a video game museum in Frisco, and they have Asteroids. If that's a legitimate thing, dude, you have no idea. We'll do that this weekend. I will go because I need to be able to smoke his ass at a video game. Because every time we've ever sat down and, dicked around, he's like, come on, Dad, just play one game. Anytime he always kills me. And he's really awful about it. Ha ha, you suck. Oh my God. Hey, you're running into the wall. Why are you running into the wall? Because I can't control him. You just got to you got to go one step in front. He's always making fun of me. It makes me feel horrible. So the opportunity for me to take him up there and say, let's play a little Asteroids, dickhead. Let's say you go first. Oh, and then he's gonna, because I know what he'll do. He'll start thrusting around right from the beginning. And then I'll be standing over his shoulder going, that's a bad move. That's a dumb move. Shouldn't do that. I wouldn't have done that. Thank you, Frank. I didn't know that there was a video game museum. And I still don't know that they have Asteroids, but if they do, that'd be fun. Byron says, dude, every retrocade has Asteroids. Ain't got to drive to Frisco. Yeah, I know that's a thing now, these arcades with all these retro games, but I don't go to arcades. And if I'm going to an arcade, I'm just going to an arcade. There seems to be more of an interesting thing about it being in a museum setting. I might actually enjoy the museum setting. But yeah, Byron's right. If I really want to beat the shit out of my kid in Asteroids, there's probably, I've never looked, but there's probably an Asteroids at Dave & Buster's. Probably. I mean, it's a classic game. It's a classic 40-year-old game, but it's a classic game. What if I suck at it now? What if I totally what if I don't have the cat-like reflexes that I had as a kid? Where's KB? Where's Kevin Barber? Kevin Barber was in my life around these times when Kevin Barber came into my life freshman year of high school. I was crushing it at Asteroids. It's like 7th grade, a little bit before my time. All right, guys, we're out of time. We're out of show. This was fun today. What a wonderful group of people you are. Thank you so much. Have a great Memorial Day weekend. Pour a little one out for our brave men and women, the armed forces. They were today's executive producer. That's right. They were today's executive producer of the show. Person who tips the most. Today, our executive producer is nobody because we got no tips. So instead, we're going to take this time to honor the brave men and women of these here United States military services and stuffs. Going to be out there on the lake. I think we're going to the lake. I don't think we're going to the lake. I know we're going to the lake. I know we're going to be up there at Lake Louisville, Party Cove, me and the boy, Uncle E's boy, and then a whole bunch of other just miscreants, lake rats, lake garbage, all of us lake trash going to be out there. It'll be fun. And when I describe these people that are in the E's armada of friends, and I'm calling them lake trash, they ain't lake trash. They're all super rich people with crazy expensive boats. I'm the lake trash. It'll be fun though. Have to decide how many days we're going out. Got it, because that's a lot. That's a lot to bite off. They're out there right now. They are out there right now. The boys, E, James, he's assistant over there at the gallery, the E-gallery. They're out there right now getting the slip and the dock and the boat and the kitchen and all that stuff. Yeah, there's a whole kitchen. There's his slip. His slip has a whole. Look, I'm a poor guy. I'm not used to like rich people boater life. I didn't know that these dudes, 3 friends, E and his 2 friends who all have boats, they all have slips right next to each other. And so they all have these individual little slip areas where sometimes people set up bars and grills or kitchens or whatever. So these 3 guys have created a big giant lounge. So it's like you go there. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's nice. They do. It's nice to have that as an option. Nice to have friends who are far more successful than me. But going out there, like, I don't know, like what I know my kids got one of these days this weekend. My kids got a mandatory lifting football training. He's got a mandatory lifting thing. And it's either going to be at 8:00 in the morning or 2:00 in the afternoon, depending on I guess how much his coach drinks. That's what I said to my kid. He goes, "Hey, Dad, we're not going to be able to go out every day because I may have to lift." And I'm like, "Oh, you got lifting practice?" He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "It's either going to be at 8:00 in the morning, which would be great because we could do lifting and then we could go to the lake and it won't interrupt anything. But it also might be 2." And I go, "Wait a second. So on Saturday and Sunday, your lifting is dependent on, on what?" And he's like, "Well, coach, whatever time the coach." And I'm like, "Yeah, that means your coach goes out and drinks in bars. If your coach goes out and drinks on Friday night, we're lifting at 2. Okay. If he does the same thing on Saturday, you're lifting at 2. Coach ain't gonna, wake up to watch you little numbnuts lift for an hour at 8 a.m. on a Sunday." So we got that. So I don't know. We're definitely gonna be out there Memorial Day, although maybe not definitely because I'm still trying to decide whether or not I want to do a show or not. I don't know. Maybe I want to do a show. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, drunk chicks flashing boobs. That's what James says. That's basically Party Cove. That's true. It's true. My son's 15 years old. He's been seeing it now for about 3 seasons. It just happens. It just happens. Girls get drunk, take their tops off. Whatever. Kid's 15. Trust me, he doesn't have a problem with seeing boobs. What else? Oh, crocodiles. Got to worry about crocodiles this year. Or alligators. Is there a difference? I make no distinction. Crocodiles and alligators. What's worse? What would you rather fight, crocodile or an alligator? Is there a difference? All right, one of you dorks now is going to be like, "Well, quite frankly, the crocodile has an extra lower." Nobody knows the difference between crocodiles and alligators. Nobody normal. If you do, you're weird. Is one bigger? Like, I think crocodiles are bigger. All right, if I had to just confidently bullshit my way around like a conversation about crocodiles and alligators, here's what I'd say. Well, what most people don't realize is that the alligator and the crocodile are actually quite different, although they do look similar. The crocodile is natural to Africa. That's where the alligators are in Florida. That's what I would think. I would think alligators are in Florida. But then also, I know somewhere in the back of my head that apparently Florida has both alligators and crocodiles. So I don't know what the difference is. Can you tell that I've run out of things to talk about on this stream? I love you guys. Have a great Memorial Day weekend. See you maybe on Monday, maybe not. Tip the show if you can. That'd be appreciated. Love you. Bye. Barney, you're the dork I was talking about. You're not supposed to know that. You're not supposed to know anything about the difference between crocodiles and alligators unless you're like a marine biologist or some shit. You fell into my trap.